St. Louis Cardinals were the first team to score 35 points against the New York Giants this year and still lose a football game. O.J. Anderson's 8-yard touchdown run against Atlanta last week was his only carry of the day due to a sprained knee. And when O.J. is down, the Cardinals go up. Jim Hart, the native Texan Pat Tilley, the leading receiver in the NFC. This one covered 50 yards, but not enough, as Atlanta won it in overtime. The other team to score 35 against New York and lose, the Dallas Cowboys, last week. 6 of those points provided by a perfectly executed middle screen to fullback Ron Springs, who took it 58 yards for a touchdown. But it all came crashing down on quarterback Danny White as he threw his 5th interception of the day with only 19 seconds left to play in the game, and the Cowboys in position for a tying field goal. A devastating loss for Dallas puts them 2 games behind the Philadelphia Eagles. One of pro football's closest fought rivalries, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys, renewed once again on a chilled, rain-drenched afternoon at Texas Stadium. Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Lieber along with Roger Staubach. Now I know why you retired. Days like this.
Well, it's not a beautiful day, Frank. There's no wind in Texas Stadium, so the weather shouldn't play a major role.
Little quarterback roundtable. What about the effect of the field, the wetness on the quarterback?
Well, as a quarterback, I think the offense, your receivers have an advantage. They know where they're going. They know what the play is. The defense, they're tentative, especially the defensive backs. I asked Jim Hart about the same situation.
I think the receivers have the advantage, knowing where they're going to go. They can pat their feet a little bit. The defenders always have to worry about that deep pass, and if they're back worrying about that, then our guys have a little bit more time to gather their feet and make that break. So I think the receivers have the definite advantage on a slippery field.
Danny White, of course, threw 5 interceptions last week, missed all of practice last week, had a bad shoulder. Is it better this week?
Shoulder's 100% better. There's still a little bit of pain in there and all that, but I've been able to work all week in practice. I haven't missed any practice time, and it feels a whole lot better today than it did last Sunday.
How about the weather, the wet field and the rain?
Well, we'll just have to see. Hopefully, it can help the passing game. It can hurt the passing game, depending on what kind of footing the receivers have. We're used to this field. I think that'll help our receivers because they know what to expect, and the defensive backs, of course, don't. So, in a way, it could help the passing game as long as we can keep a dry ball in the game.
We're ready for the opening kickoff here at Texas Stadium. Neil O'Donohue, the St. Louis Cardinals, advancing on the ball. Spinning kick coming down at the 10-yard line. Fielded and fumbled by James Jones at the 5. Back to the 10. Cowboy rookie to the 15, 20. Jones to the 25. Outside to the 30 and run out of bounds in front of the Cardinal bench at the 32-yard line. Almost a disastrous start for the Cowboys, but they turned out in pretty good shape with a fine run back from their rookie, number 3 draft choice, James Jones from Mississippi State. 42 degrees at kickoff time. The wind out of the north at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And a light rain continues to fall as you look at the Cowboy offense. No changes there whatsoever. First and 10, Dallas ball at the 32-yard line. Billy Joe Dupree in motion across the backfield. A handoff to Tony Dorsett. And you're going to be seeing a lot of that slipping and sliding, though the field was covered by a tarp most of the morning, just prior to warm-ups. Obviously, they got a little leakage in that tarp, Roger.
Oh, they do, and it has drizzled a little bit since the tarp came off. You know, Frank, the play we just saw, Lee Nelson is finding a home there in that Cardinal secondary at strong safety. He's played cornerback, but the last few weeks he's played strong safety. He's done a good job against the run, and of course he plays the pass well since he was a cornerback at one time.
Second down, no gain on the first play from scrimmage. Cowboys ball at their 32-yard line. Cardinals have some real injury problems among their linebackers we'll talk about as Dorsett dances around, gets just a yard or two. Steve Niels is out of the ball game. Tim Carney was not expected to play, so we're thinking they might go to the 4-man front they showed in the overtime last week against Atlanta.
There's a good chance they'll go to the 4-man front. They'd bring in Curtis Greer would come in and probably move Pollard to tackle, but right now they're going with the 3-man front, 4 linebackers, and as we see right here, Roy Green comes in the game, and also Gerard Williams on 3rd down situation. So they're staying with their normal stuff, but they're looking at those linebackers to see if they can keep them healthy.
3rd down and 8. Cowboys in the shotgun. Ball is at the Dallas 34-yard line.
Comes a blitz.
Danny White in trouble behind the line and torn down at the 15-yard line. Lee Nelson, number 38, broke through there. Cardinals probably blitz more than any team in the NFL, better than 40% of the time.
Well, this is an unusual blitz. You got Calvin Favreau, number 59, is coming up the middle. Danny sees him, but Lee Nelson's got the agility and the quickness to stop Danny from getting outside. He's on a safety blitz, a strong safety. So they brought their linebacker and a strong safety.
4th down. White back to do the punting, standing on the 4-yard line. Cardinals peel back. They're playing return all the way. Good kick. And Roy Green at the 40-yard line of St. Louis, back to the 45 and stopped just shy of midfield. Kurt Peterson, number 65, and on the tackle, Cowboy rookie from the University of Missouri. The officials will spot the ball at the 48-yard line in St. Louis end of the field. Excellent field position for the Cardinals on their first offensive possession of the afternoon. Jim Hart, of course, leading the way. Otis Anderson and Wayne Morris, the running backs, have to watch Anderson, see how much of an effect that sprained knee last week will have on him. He missed better than half the football game against Atlanta. And they give him a test, and Anderson breaks into the clear at the 40. Aaron Mitchell misses him at the 10. Anderson is gone to the first play from scrimmage.
Well, I'll tell you, he exploded through that middle, and once he got through the middle, Aaron Mitchell had a good shot at him. Aaron Mitchell had probably a little bit of an angle, but you saw some speed, you saw some strength getting through the middle, and of course he ran away from a cornerback in Aaron Mitchell. It showed all his qualities right up the middle now. Now watch the explosion. Right here he sees the opening. There's daylight. He gets through that daylight before Dennis Thurman, number 32, can recover. Bob Bruning can't recover. Now he's got Aaron Mitchell's got an angle, but he shows some more speed there, and he's gone. Benny Barnes takes a last run at him, but Otis Anderson's in the end zone for 6 points, and it's 7 now.
Neil O'Donoghue tacking on the extra point for the St. Louis Cardinals. 1 play, 1 touchdown. Well, the Cardinals said they wanted revenge for the defeat handed them by the Cowboys last week. And they start fast, but keep in mind they did the very same thing against Atlanta last week, rolling out to a 24-6 halftime lead and then couldn't hang on. Lanky Neil O'Donoghue, world's tallest field goal kicker and kickoff man at 6 feet 5 inches. Kicking off for the second time in the space of a couple of minutes. Jones at the 10, 15, 20. Fumble, loose football at the 24-yard line, recovered by the Cowboys. That could have been a very, very costly fumble.
I tell you, Frank, you got to keep your eye on this number 40, Randy Love. He's a dynamo on that special team. He's a fine running back, but he's used primarily in the specialty teams, and again, he made a fine play there.
A couple of weeks ago, he was in on every specialty team tackle.
Recovered a fumble, and he was in on most of the tackles, and from the St. Louis people, it's week in and week out he does the same thing, and here today he's already started his move on the specialty teams.
1st and 10. Cowboys with the football at their 24-yard line. Their second offensive possession of the afternoon. The game is just 2.5 minutes old. Danny White hitting Tony Hill for the first down at the 39-yard line. You say they did bring on the 4-man line?
They do have the 4-man line in, Frank.
Cardinals are really beat up on the linebacking positions. First down. Pick up a 15 yards on the play. The Cowboys' first down of the ball game at their 39-yard line. Roger Worley made the stop for the St. Louis Cardinals. Newhouse and Dorsett in the backfield. The handoff. Tony Dorsett trying to get outside. Does so to the 40, 45, 50, and out of bounds in St. Louis territory at the 47-yard line. Another first down for the Dallas Cowboys. Another thing we asked Danny White before the game was what he thought of that loss against the New York Giants last week. That's about all he had to say.
Well, that summarizes that loss up real quick.
1st and 10, second first down in a row. Cowboys with the ball at the 47-yard line. Way this thing is starting out, it's going to be another wide open offensive game, wet field and all. Drew Pearson wide to the right side. Tony Hill, the intended receiver. Worley over there with him. He and Worley have a little thing going as a result of Hill's touchdown catch, which won the game up in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago.
Well, you can probably thank Mark Arneson for that throw. White had to rush that pass a little bit. Mark Arneson was the linebacker coming in, and good pressure on the quarterback. And that's what St. Louis wants to do today. They want to stop the run. They're a little bit worried about that using the 4-man front. They're used to a 3-man front, but it puts more pressure on the passer. And if they blitz a linebacker, it's good pass defense if they can stop the run.
2nd and 10 from the St. Louis 47. Nice fake by White. Looking long, goes way long. Downfield intended for Hill, and he can't find it. Tony Hill double covered down to the 5-yard line. Nelson was back there, and so was Ken Stone defending. That'll set up a 3rd down and 10. Keep in mind, Drew Pearson can eclipse a Cowboy record today. Pearson, the Cowboys' great receiver, needs 3 catches to become the all-time leading receiver, surpassing Bob Hayes' old mark. 3rd and 10. Dallas ball at the St. Louis Cardinal 47-yard line. Still early in the game. Cardinals have lost the last 5 games in a row to the Cowboys, and 7 of the last 8 times that these two teams have played. From the shotgun. Good protection for White, and the pass is tipped. Incomplete. Pretty good pressure by that Cardinal front 4.
They did a good job that time. They didn't blitz anybody. They just brought all 4 men in, but White still had some time here. It's just that someone got their hand up and knocked the ball down, but he had enough time to get rid of the football.
Pass was blocked in the middle of the line, so Danny White will be back to punt for the 2nd time in the football game. 4th and 10. White standing back in his 36-yard line, awaiting the snap from his center, Tom Rafferty. 11 minutes, 27 seconds left in the opening period. Cardinals lead at 7-0. Angling for the near sideline. Green back in the 5, lets it bounce, and on into the end zone for the touchback. So the Cardinals will take over 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line. Last time the Cardinals beat the Cowboys was here at Texas Stadium back in 1977 by a score of 24-17. But they've got a jump this afternoon as a result of the 52-yard touchdown run by Otis Anderson on the Cardinals' very first play from scrimmage. Back with more from Texas Stadium in just a moment. Frank Labor along with Roger Staubach at Texas Stadium this afternoon. Cardinals 7, Cowboys nothing. St. Louis with the football, 1st and 10 from their 20. This is their 2nd offensive play. Mel Gray to the left side. Tilley is wide to the right. Gray covered by Aaron Mitchell. And Tilley over there by Benny Barnes. As Hart gives it to Otis Anderson, and Anderson stopped after a pickup of 2, maybe 3 yards in the play.
The handoff was to Otis Anderson.
It'll be 2nd down, 7. Wait, Jim told us before the game that Steve Little has been moved from St. Louis to his hometown in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Yeah, Steve is sure watching this game, and as we said before a few weeks ago, everybody's sure thinking about him and pulling for him.
2nd and 7. Hart, good protection. Blocked by Too Tall Jones and almost intercepted by Harvey Martin.
Well, Ed Jones is probably has a Cowboy record already for passes knocked down at the line of scrimmage. He's been knocking them down each and every game. He's probably averaged 1 a game. There's a good play action fake right there. Hart's going down the sidelines. And right there as the ball is, of course, knocked down. Almost well, Harvey didn't get over there, but Ed Jones spoiled that play.
Pretty good confrontation there between Too Tall Jones and Dan Deerdorf, the all-pro tackle of the St. Louis Cardinals. 3rd down, 7. That's good for the 1st down at the 32-yard line. Pat Tilley gathers in the pass, the leading receiver in the NFC. We talked to Deerdorf prior to the game about facing off against Too Tall Jones.
Well, Too Tall and I are no strangers to each other. We've gone to war probably a dozen times over the last 6 or 7 years, and I think Ed's playing better now than he's ever played. I think maybe in that year off when he went boxing that maybe he realized how much he really enjoyed a game of football. And I'll be real honest, I think he's playing with an enthusiasm, with a hustle that he never played with in the past, and I'm happy for him. He's that great a talent you hate to see lie dormant. He's playing super.
That's Mel Gray, and that's another 6 points for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Well, I'll tell you, St. Louis can hit him quick and they can hit him fast, and they've got the two people that can do it in Gray and Anderson. They've done it today, right and left, and Hart faked to his left. He pumped over to the left and came back to the right side, and Gray had a good route on. He split the safety and the cornerback. Watch this look over to the left right here. When he looks over there, now he's got the safety reacting that way, and then he drills it back to the right and gives him enough time. Of course, Benny Barnes is off of him, but see, there's no safety to come back over here. That fake probably would have let Dennis Thurman make a tackle back at midfield, but Hart did an excellent job, and of course, Gray split the middle, and with his speed, it's tough to catch him.
Neil O'Donoghue to try the extra point as the Cardinals have struck like lightning. Here in the first period of play, the kick is good, and St. Louis has jumped out to a 14-0 lead on a 52-yard run up the middle by O.J. Anderson, and the 69-yard pass run from Hart to Mel Gray. There's the book of the St. Louis second touchdown drive as O'Donoghue kicks off to James Jones. Jones from the 7 up to the 15, trying to get outside. Gets across the 20 out to the 21-yard line. Cowboys, of course, come into this game with a 7-3 record. St. Louis is 3-7, so you figure it'd be tough, certainly, for the Cardinals to get up for this football game. We put that question to Dan Deerdorf.
No, I don't think so. I think if you look at our record, 3-7, that we're playing for pride, and I think that's the easiest thing in the world to muster up is pride. And we're not going to go belly up, and we're not going to roll over and die. This club has never done that, regardless of whether we're up or whether we're down. And I'm proud of my teammates for that fact.
And they certainly haven't done it so far this afternoon. They lead 14-0. Danny White pass blocked, tipped in the air and knocked down by number 75, Curtis Greer, the rookie defensive end from Michigan. It's two the Cardinals have blocked on White.
Well, White that time had a play action fake into the line, and then he revved up and threw the down and in pass, but Greer saw the play action and reacted quick enough to knock the ball down. Excellent play by Greer.
White is 1 out of 5 for 15 yards for openers here in the first period, which has 9 minutes and 29 seconds remaining. Second down, 10. Dorsett got by the front 4 and into the secondary, was stopped close to the 30-yard line, very close to the yardage needed for the first down. Looks like he's a yard maybe too short.
Well, Dorsett's exploding in there. He was exploding last week against New York, and once he got into that secondary, he was really moving, and there was a chance right there to break one. Of course, he got 9 yards and almost broke it.
It'll be 3rd and 2 for the Cowboys at their 29. Trailing 14-0 here in the opening period. Robert Newhouse for the first down, and a lot more as he drags several tacklers out beyond the 40-yard line. Ken Stone, number 23, finally making the stop. That's the Newhouse of old.
Yes, that was a misdirection play. It looked like they were coming off the right side. Newhouse countered right, broke back left, and of course he had the St. Louis defensive line angling. Watch this. See, the fake is to this side, and then Newhouse counters back the other way. The defensive line is angling, and he breaks the seam. Does a good job. 1st and 10. White under pressure over the middle. Tony Hill. Hill caught the ball at the 45 and then pedaled back close to midfield. Finally wound up being down at the 48-yard line of St. Louis. And again, that's very close to the first down marker and is another Dallas first down. Hill over the 40 mark in receptions thus far this year.
This telecast is presented by authority at the NFL. It's intended for the private use of our audience, and any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Dallas Cowboys and the National Football League is prohibited. 1st and 10, Cowboys at the 47-yard line of St. Louis. Newhouse down to the 40. Roger Worley, number 22, back there along with Calvin Fabron, number 59.
To the Cardinals 40-yard line. Get by Roger Worley. 2nd down.
That'll set up a 2nd and 4. Cardinals return home next week to take on Kansas City. Cowboys start a 3-game home string with this ball game. They take on the Redskins and then the Seattle Seahawks on Thanksgiving. Ball is at the St. Louis 41. Dorsett. Curtis Greer catching Dorsett at about the line of scrimmage. So Dallas looking at a 3rd and 3.
Now Mark Arneson pressured that play real well too, Frank. He made the initial pressure in there that caused Dorsett to cut back inside and give Greer a chance. Arneson's an excellent linebacker. Mark's been playing that position for a long time in St. Louis, and he's probably the healthiest linebacker they have right now, and he's got his bumps and bruises this year also.
Cardinals held Dorsett to just 26 yards rushing in the first game this year. He's already got 23 here in the first period. 3rd down 4. Danny White, all kinds of time. Jankowski pressuring him out of the pocket. Now he's going to run. Picks up the 1st down and goes out of bounds at the 34.
Well, that's an excellent scramble by Danny White. He couldn't find anything. They were looking for 3 or 4 yards. The receivers are well covered. When he drops back right here, he's looking for that quick 1st down. You notice he's hopping back, so he really had a short drop to look for the 1st down, and Jankowski had the only chance to get him. Once he got around Jankowski, he saw the 1st down and headed for the out of bounds, and Favrone was close behind.
You got to feel like you're on roller skates out there with this slippery turf, don't you?
That's a factor if you have to cut sharp.
1st and 10, nose of the ball just inside the St. Louis 35-yard line. 5 minutes, 55 seconds left to play in the opening period. It's Doug Cosby in motion. Dorsett going to throw the option, and does. Battle in the end zone. Drew Pearson looking for the interference flag, but there was none. Double covered. Ken Stone was down there, number 23, and Carl Allen, number 27. You think it should have been interference?
I couldn't see any interference. They had both officials down there. Were right on the play. Here we can see on the replay. Well, Drew, of course, didn't like the call. Here we'll see it better. Here, Dorsett is throwing his play action. They both defenders are down there. There's a bump right there. Yes, I can see what he was complaining about. Stone looked like he bumped him before the ball got there.
2nd and 10. Some of the fans still booing here at Texas Stadium. White off to Dorsett, shoestring catch, breaks a tackle, 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 17-yard line. That may be Dorsett's finest run of the year, all things considered.
It probably was one of his finest runs, but it also was probably one of the finest catches that Dorsett's made. It's an excellent catch. That ball was right around the shoestrings. It's a screen pass all the way. White's looking downfield, and then he drops it off. He's got a guard. He's got Rafferty out in front of him. He's got Fitzgerald. Gets away, breaks it downfield, breaks a couple tackles there, and does an excellent job. Ken Stone missed it, and finally he's brought down by 59. I guess that's Favrone that brings it down.
1st and 10, Dallas at the 19-yard line. White over the middle for Drew Pearson, knocked down at the 5. Roger Worley reaching in front of Pearson and slapping the ball away. And Pearson appears to be a little upset after 2 calls that went against him.
Here's the pass again to Danny White. Now Roger Worley looks like he might have got the left arm behind his back when he knocked it down with the right one. I'm sure that's what Drew was complaining about. That's good defense right there. Good play by Worley.
3rd down. Make it 2nd down and 10. Pardon me. Ball still at the 19-yard line of the St. Louis Cardinals. 4 minutes, 51 seconds. left in the opening period, and the Cardinals have shot the Cowboys, jumping out to a 14-0 lead. Pearson to the right side, Hill to the left. Dorsett and Newhouse in the backfield. Dorsett gets 2 to the 17-yard line, and that's about it.
You know, Dallas gets inside the 20 here, Frank. It's a whole new offense, and most teams are the same, I'm sure. They're bringing in Preston, Pearson, and also Butch Johnson on third down, which is their third down offense. But once you get inside the 20, of course, the defense has the end zone to protect him against the deep pass. So you almost have a new type of offense to throw at a team, and it's based on the tendencies. Teams like to blitz more down here, and they keep their safeties. They don't have a safety back so deep because they don't have to worry about the deep pass. So you got different types of routes.
Third down. Cowboys need 9 for the first down. From the shotgun, St. Louis 19 over the middle. Touchdown! Preston Pearson. Well, you've seen a few of those before from ground level.
I tell you, that's vintage Pearson. He's made a lot of plays where he's stretched out, and he's stretched out all the way. The ball's out in front of him, and he just stretches out and makes a heck of a play. White's got plenty of time. St. Louis is not pressuring him much with that four-man rush right now. They'll probably go back to the blitz. But here's the pass. It's out in front. Preston stretches out all the way. Look at that. Now that's nice. Excellent play. Right around Calvin Favrone. Preston Pearson does it again. And he's been hurt the last few weeks, and he was activated for this game.
Septien with the extra point try. Charlie Waters puts it down. The kick is up and good. So it's a 14-7 football game. 4 minutes and 5 seconds left to play in the opening period. That catch by Pearson reminded me a lot of a catch that Pearson made against the Rams in a playoff game several years ago. Pass that
he made one there and one against the Redskins last year right before the half.
Septien ready to kick off. The rain, for the most part, appears to have stopped. But it is a cold, chilly afternoon, and the field is pretty thoroughly soaked. Roy Green is deep, so is Willard Harrell. Keep in mind, Green ran one back 106 yards here last year. And that is Green out to the 26-yard line. And tied an all-time NFL record for the longest kickoff return, 106, for number 25, Roy Green of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now the Cowboys haven't stopped the Cardinals yet. They've had the football twice, scored two touchdowns, scored them quickly.
That was a big drive by Dallas also, Frank. They got 2 touchdowns behind quickly and drove about 75 yards for that one. So they're back in the ball game. It's going to be a game of big plays.
We've seen several already. Officials have the ball marked at the 27-yard line of the St. Louis Cardinals. Wayne Morris, Dallas product, Southern Methodist University, playing before a lot of his friends here, taking the carry, 2 yards. It'll be second down 8. I imagine Amy Staubach was concerned about Mel Gray prior to the game again.
Amy is retired, Frank.
She is retired. Batting 500 on the year, we might say. At least for another 4 years. Second down 6. St. Louis from its 29-yard line. Sideline throw out to Gray. And Benny Barnes over to make the stop at the 36-yard line. Looks like he has just about enough for the first down.
I think he missed it by about a yard, Frank. That tape is, the chain was back, but the officials are told when there's a close play on the sidelines, move those chains away, but that marker, they have another yard to go.
That's become a very handy thing to see, that red marker that is on the ground on the white backdrop over there as one of the Cardinals was shaken up. And Gray?
Gray's the one that's shaken up.
It'll be a third down, less than a yard needed for the first down. Gray, keep in mind, and we should have pointed it out after his first catch, the big one for the touchdown, has now caught passes in 100 consecutive games. That is still not an NFL record, because Harold Carmichael is at 122 and counting. And Danny Abramowitz, who used to be with the Saints, now retired, is at 105. And Mel can catch him before the season is out. But Gray will come out limping slightly.
He's walking gingerly. It looks like that left leg, or either that or groin.
See if we can pick it up on this replay.
Well, it's just a quick sideline pass. Benny Barnes hits Gray, knocks him out of bounds. Right here.
Nothing really unusual about the tackle.
No, he lands on those legs, though. Looks like he lands on them.
Third down, 1. Cardinals go with a double tight end setup from their 36-yard line. Fumble, loose football in there. If St. Louis recovered, I'm sure they got the first down because Anderson fumbled the ball forward.
Referee's pointing towards the Dallas goal, so it looks like St. Louis has the ball.
And probably will have the first down because Anderson looked like he did fumble it forward. But they're going to measure, I think. Let's see. No, they're going to say it's fourth down, and they did not get it. So the punting units come on for both sides. Atlanta having a tough time with the New Orleans Saints still winless. That's at halftime. Atlanta leading by 3. Saints got to win one sooner or later. We keep saying. Larry Swider's punt.
Well, he gets a lot in that.
We got a flag before the ball was snapped.
Yeah, that's clock was down to 0, but
delay of game is the preliminary indication. So they'll move the Cardinals back another 5 and make them punt it again. Swider, former kicker for the Detroit Lions, who was picked up early this year. And the Lions put him on waivers. And has done a fine job handling the Cardinals punting. That's our first penalty of the day.
Delay of the game. Offense number 10, fourth down.
Chuck Eberling, the referee, giving you the call. Swider will now stand back on his 15-yard line. And the Cowboys are going to go with double safeties this time. Roland Solomon is back there with Jones.
He gets another one. That's another beauty.
Back at the 15, 20. Jones trying to cut back inside. Goes down at the 25. He got all of that one.
25-yard line.
So Dallas will put it in play at their 25-yard line. We still have 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the opening period of play.
Here's Jones. Again, Randy Love, number 40, is down. He's disappointed he doesn't make this tackle. Right there, he misses it, but Jones gets back. It's tough to cut right there. That's where the footing is precarious, and of course Rod Phillips makes the tackle, number 36.
First and 10, Cowboys at their 25. They trail 14-7 as the Cardinals jumped out with 14 quick points. That last drive, the first time the Cowboys have been able to stop the Cardinals. Dorsett has been running hard across the 30-yard line out to the 31. Bob Pollard, number 82, the Cardinal defensive end of the stop. You know, Tony this year is trying to become the first back in NFL history to gain 1,000 yards rushing his first 4 years in the league. And he needs to average right under 60 yards a game the rest of the way to reach that mark. Cleveland in front of Pittsburgh in that big game in the AFC Central. That is also a halftime score. And Pittsburgh obviously needs it rather badly. Second down, 4. Dallas from the 30. Again, Dorsett. I tell you, he is lucky he ducked right there because Calvin Favron nearly took his head off.
He almost put Dorsett on the sidelines that time.
That is not Dorsett. That's 23. James Jones who just came in.
Dorsett got up the last play and was feeling his ribs, and he went out. So James Jones is in there, number 23.
He's the rookie kick returner. Cowboys now with a 3rd and 3, and they bring in Preston Pearson. It looks like they're going to their third down passing offense.
It's a passing. Anything above 2, Dallas throws on third down normally.
There's a run. Inside handoff to James Jones. Jones picks up the first down, goes out of bounds at the 37. Carl Allen, number 27, coming up from the secondary to shove him out.
That's an excellent play. It's used a lot. It's a run off the shotgun. Bob Pollard, number 82, and here got Tom Rafferty, 64, and Herb Scott, 68, pulling. But Pollard has the only one has a chance for that, and of course Herb Scott, number 68, makes an excellent play. Now Jones, all he has to do is get the first down. He does it.
53 seconds left to play in the opening period. St. Louis leading 14-7. Dallas with a 1st and 10 from their 36. White back to throw it. Over the middle, wide open, is Jay Saldi, the tight end. That's good for 10. And looks like another Dallas first down at the 48.
Well, St. Louis is really trying some different looks. They've got their 3-man rush in again. 4 linebackers. They're trying to stop the pass. Dallas, with the last series, and of course that pass, have been throwing at will against St. Louis. And I'm sure they're going to be trying some different odds and ends, but right now they're using the 3-man rush again.
Cowboys had their best rushing game last week against the Giants, 239 yards. Eagles are jumping on the Redskins.
Oh, I thought that would be a tough one. Vermeil has never beaten Washington in Washington, but right now he's ahead 17-0.
They're playing the best football in the NFL. Timeout. Called by the Cowboys.
Now there's a mix-up over there, and that's something that's costly. There's only 3 seconds left in the quarter, so there's no reason for the timeout. The clock had gone down to 0, and White didn't want the penalty, but it cost you a timeout before the half. You could use that timeout in a 2-minute period, especially the second half. You don't want to lose a timeout. And last week it hurt them. They lost a timeout, and it affected them towards the end of the game.
Tom Landry now 1 win behind Don Shula on the all-time NFL list. He's won 179 games as Dallas head coach. Right now he is 4th on the all-time list. If he catches Shula, he would move behind only George Halas and Curly Lambeau. As we figured it out, if Landry wants to catch George Halas, he has to average 10 victories a year for the next 14 years. I don't think he's going to be around that long. This tells you a lot about what Halas has done down through the years. We might also point out that Cowboy defensive tackle Larry Bethea is not here today. He's home with his family in Newport News, Virginia. His sister, his 21-year-old sister, died on Wednesday morning after a lengthy illness. So our sympathy certainly goes out to the Cowboys' backup defensive lineman, Larry Bethea. 3 seconds to go in the first period. Cowboys 1st and 10 at their 49. Drew Pearson wide to the right side. Tony Hill is split to the left. Billy Joe Dupree there in the wingback position. Now Dupree starts in motion across the backfield. Hand off to Dorsett, who is back in there. Across the 50 down to the 49 or 48, and that'll do it as far as the first quarter is concerned. Officials won't have far to move the football here.
That is the signal indicating
Indicating that the first period is history here at Texas Stadium this afternoon in the battle between the Dallas Cowboys and the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Cardinals on 2 quick strikes leading the Cowboys 14-7. We'll be back after this.
The NFL on CBS. Today's game is sponsored by Ford Trucks. The trucks built Ford tough and built for fuel economy. And by Alcoa, producer of energy-saving aluminum.
Frank Labor along with Roger Staubach back at Texas Stadium. Start of the second period. Cowboys have the football 2nd and 7 from the St. Louis 49-yard line. They trail 14-7. Ron Springs is into the fullback position now. Danny White trying to set up that middle screen to Springs, which scored last week. Down to the 40, down to the 33-yard line. Well, one thing you figure that the Cardinals had to have scouted was this play after it went 58 for a score last week against the Giants.
Well, again, you use it when you have something good, you got to keep using it. Again, St. Louis has a rush coming here. Arneson, number 57, is coming also. So there's a 4-man rush with the linebacker, 3 down linemen, and Spring catches it in the middle. You got Fitzgerald, you got Rafferty, and you also have Scott blocking downfield. So it's an excellent play against that 3-man rush, and especially good if you blitz that linebacker.
Another first down for the Cowboys at the St. Louis 32-yard line as they go to tie up this football game. White back to throw it. Protection is good. Looks over the middle. He's got Tony Hill at the 25, and Hill close to another first down and may have it at the 22-yard line.
Well, White did a great job there. His main receiver was Butch Johnson. Butch was running a 12-yard sideline pass off the play action fake, and Butch slipped down. White came back to an alternate receiver. It was Tony Hill, hooked over the middle.
And Hill getting up a little bit slowly. We got word, by the way, from the Cardinals bench that Mel Gray has a sprained ankle but is expected to return. First and 10, Dallas at the St. Louis 22-yard line early in the second period. Cowboys with the number 3 offense in the NFC. Neither team has had trouble moving the football. Dorsett, 20, 15, and down to the 12, the 11-yard line. 11 yards. And looks like another Dallas first down. This may be close enough for measurement. Official timeout being called. Dorsett is running as tough as he's run all year.
He's running well. He ran for 183 last week against New York, and he hasn't stopped yet.
That was the second highest rushing total of his career. He went 206 one day against the Philadelphia Eagles. He's had a big day against the Cardinals in the past. In fact, he gained 154 in St. Louis in '78.
He's got Springs leading for him, number 20. Jim Cooper makes a nice block, but Springs is a lead block. He gets him to the outside. He's also got Butch Johnson picking up people downfield, and he's running hard and gets about 10 yards.
The ball is at the 11-yard line. It is first and goal to go. And the officials talking things over. No penalty flags down. No indication of what might be a problem, if there is any.
I think maybe one of the officials is maybe he's just feeling bad or something. And
now, they don't have an alternate official at all these games, do they? I mean, usually not just for playoff games. If a guy does come down. Well, let's see if he's going to tell us about it. Chuck Eberling is the referee. Well,
sure, they have somebody to alternate.
Yeah, the alternate official is in the stands and doesn't dress unless needed. We're ready to go to play now. First and 10, Cowboys at the St. Louis 11-yard line. Drew Pearson wide to the left side. Tony Hill is split to the right. Ron Springs and Dorsett in the backfield behind Danny White. Cowboys trail 14-7. Pearson, the man in motion. White floats it in the end zone, and it is almost intercepted. Almost complete, too, as a matter of fact. Looked like Billy Joe Dupree and Pearson got a little mixed up on their routes.
Well, Drew Pearson was clearing out to the downside, deep in the end zone, and Springs is out in the flat. Billy Joe Dupree was coming across the field, and just because of the play was late, that they kind of got stuck back there in the court of the end zone. But Ken Stone, I don't think, sees the ball, because Stone had a chance for an interception right here. White was throwing it to Dupree, but watch Stone, number 23. He doesn't see. He runs by Dupree, and of course Dupree had a chance to catch that.
Billy Joe looked like it was almost too hot to handle. He saw Pearson in back of it. Here's Dorsett down to the 10, running hard to the 6-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 5 from the 6. Cowboys could pick up another first down. If they
Dorsett is having some problems with ribs. He hurt him a few weeks back. He's been wearing a flak jacket, but evidently he's getting popped in the same area again, and it's bothering him.
And he's been off to a great start running the football this afternoon. He's picked up 48 yards rushing on 10 carries, averaging almost 5 yards per carry. He was hurt against Philadelphia earlier this year and got those ribs banged up pretty good. Started using the flak jacket. Missed one ball game as a result of it. obviously has got some problems right now. 12 minutes and 16 seconds left to play in the first half here at Texas Stadium. Cardinals still lead the Cowboys 14-7.
I'd like to know what they got called here. They got something.
And we're back once again. 3rd down, 5 needed for the first down, 6 for the touchdown. Like to venture a guess what...
Well, if you're scouting Dallas, you've got to be alert for Dupree, either on a turn in or a turn out around the goal line. But again, there's a lot of alternatives, but the tight end's been their #1 receiver down here.
Springs hammered. Did not hang out of the football.
Well, that's a great play by Carl Allen. I don't know if Springs would have had the first down anyway, but he popped him just as the ball got there and caused the incompletion.
So that'll set up 4th and 5 for the Cowboys from the 6-yard line.
What they were trying to do is shield off the cornerback that time. He came up in a zone type defense and was holding that area, and they're trying to shield him off and get the running back just past him for the touchdown, but Carl Allen did an excellent job.
23-yard field goal attempt for Septien, who is 8 out of 13 this year. Kick is good. And the Cowboys get 3 points out of the 75-yard drive. And with 11 minutes and 46 seconds still left to play in the first half here at Texas Stadium, the Cowboys have come back from 14-0 to 14-10. St. Louis still leads. Kicking off for the Cowboys. Roy Green is deep for the St. Louis Cardinals. Fields it at the 4. 10, 15, 20. Got to pick it his way over the rain-soaked artificial turf. It is dropped at the 26-yard line by Dexter Clinkscale, number 47. Well, the word from down below is that Dorsett was just winded and will be back in the game, so we'll see. 1st and 10. St. Louis with the football. Cowboys have controlled the ball a lot longer, but the Cardinals come at you with those big strikes. That's the way they've scored 2 touchdowns. Anderson for 52, and Mel Gray on the long one. Wayne Morris back to the 30-yard line, picking up 4. It'll be 2nd down, 6. Good, handy, all-around back. Great runner at Southern Methodist University.
Of course, Dave Steef is in there, and Mel Gray is out, who earlier made the big play, and they're going to miss Mel Gray if they don't get him back in there.
Tilley is wide to the right side. Pat Tilley's the only receiver in the NFC this year who's caught at least 3 passes in every game he's played. On 2nd and 6, they go with the straight handoff out to the 33-yard line. Anderson picking up 3 more, which will set up a 3rd. And the Cardinals will still need 3 for the first down.
As indicated by the stadium scoreboard, Tony Dorsett had the wind knocked out of him.
10 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the first half. Cardinals leading the Cowboys 14-10. Another thing, keep in mind, no running back has ever gained better than 100 yards rushing against the Cowboys 3 times in their career. And Anderson has done it twice and is going for number 3. And no running back has ever done it, of course, twice in one season, until Anderson came along last year. And he's off to a pretty good start with 57 yards rushing, including the 52-yarder for the touchdown. This game, Roger, I would think almost has to come under a must-win situation for Dallas, with the Eagles winning again now. Dallas ready, trailing by 2 games.
Well, it is critical. The Eagles have a tough grind coming up, as does Dallas on the road the last 2 games before the final game against Philadelphia. But Philadelphia has to play Atlanta and Oakland and San Diego, so no one can falter now.
Big play in this drive. Cardinals have a 3rd and 3 from their 33-yard line. Got Theodis Brown in that backfield along with Anderson, and Anderson driving hard is very close to the first down at the 37-yard line.
I believe he's got it.
They came in that time with their Otis and Theotis backfield. I understand you were on their radio show.
Yes, they have a radio show. And
Otis and Theotis.
It was fun. When I retired this year, they had me on the show.
Who does most of the talking?
Theotis did most of the talking.
Did he?
Otis does most of the talking on the field, though.
I see. You can say that again. 1st and 10 it is. Cardinals ball at their 37-yard line.
Comes the blitz.
Pass completed for short yardage to Doug Marsh, the rookie tight end at the 40-yard line.
Cowboys are doing what most teams are doing now. In some first down situations, they bring the strong safety. Charlie Waters has been coming more and more on a blitz, as, of course, Lee Nelson has done for St. Louis. But that's true around the league. Your change-ups now in defense are very multiple, and you can't figure out who's coming now and then. And the safeties are a big factor in the blitzing situations.
2nd down, 6. Cardinals from their 41-yard line. Anderson up to the 44. Too Tall Jones got an arm in there.
You know, another note here is that it looks like a fire drill sometimes before the snap of the ball. Well, Dallas has their linebackers. They play specific positions. In this case, D.D. Lewis always goes away from the tight end. Mike Hagman goes with the tight end. So the tight end is jumping from side to side just before, of course, the ball snap. He goes over and sets up, and then Hagman and Lewis have to switch also. There's good defense right there.
3rd down. Again, the Cardinals need 3 for the first down at their 44. This is really their best ball control drive of the afternoon. Hart, good protection. 1st down. Tilley at the 49-yard line of Dallas. Tackle made by Aaron Mitchell. Cowboys gave Tilley the ultimate compliment this week. They said he's probably the hardest worker in the entire National Football League in terms of running routes.
Well,
the first man in there, and Brulick, number 53, wrapped him up. Now the Cowboys got to Hart 6 times in the first game in St. Louis. That's their first trap of the day.
Yeah, they've been doing a good job protecting Hart here lately, but again, this is the blitz. They got everybody coming. That's a triple blitz. The middle linebacker and the 2 outside linebackers. They got the whole kitchen sink coming, except for the secondary. That's a tough one to stop.
If you're the quarterback, what do you look for when you see that coming?
Well, hopefully you got an outlet receiver, a quick receiver, a down and in or a quick out. But if you have your patterns downfield, it's very difficult to get a pass off.
Loss in the play of 6 yards, 2nd and 16. Cardinals back in their own end of the field at the 45-yard line, and the 30-second clock, I believe, got Hart that time before it looked like another Cowboy blitz did.
Yeah, they liked it the first down, so they were going to try it again.
Center on offense, 5 yards.
Well, they call it illegal procedure on the center. False start. But the 30-second clock had run out as well.
There's a delay on the quarterback prior to the false start. There will be delay offense, 5 yards. Same down.
There's that hitch by the center. Brahaney there, and
Actually had 2 penalties there. The delay, the clock ran out before the center jumped. And so the first penalty prevails, which is the delay of game. Either case, 5 yards against St. Louis.
Number 17, offense, 2nd down.
That moves it back to the 40-yard line and now gives the Cardinals a 2nd and 21. Makes Hart's job a little tougher. Realize this is the 30th time that Jim Hart is facing the Dallas Cowboys. Hart back to throw it. He goes long for Tilley, and Tilley has a touchdown.
well, I tell you, that was a great throw by Jim Hart. He stepped up in the pocket. He had another partial blitz on. He had Dexter Clinkscale was blitzing, plus the 4 down linemen. He stepped right up in that pocket, and Tilley went right by Aaron Mitchell, number 34. Hart put that ball on a string and right in the arms of Tilley. Watch this right here. He's got some pressure. He has to turn the ball a little slippery right there. And now he steps up right here and lets it go with everything he's got. And it's an excellent pass. Watch Tilley. He won't have to budge an inch right there. He's on the run right by Aaron Mitchell, number 34. And it's another big play for St. Louis.
3 big plays now for the St. Louis Cardinals. That one coming on a 2nd and 21. O'Donohue tacks on the extra point.
The kick by Neil O'Donohue is good.
crowd becomes quiet here at Texas Stadium as the Cardinals have struck with the big play for the third time with 7:04 still left to play in the first half at St. Louis. 21, Dallas 10. Jones fielding O'Donoghue's kickoff at the 20, out to the 25, and dives across the 30-yard line.
James Jones.
So the Cowboys will put it in play at their 33-yard line. 1st and 10. And got to be shocked a little bit. Cardinals with 3 big plays in the first half, covering 52, 60, and 69 yards. Jim Hart is 6 out of 7 for 155 yards. Pretty good for openers.
That's excellent. Of course, the Cardinal defense, the last 2 series have not stopped Dallas. Dallas has driven down for a touchdown and a field goal. So St. Louis has got to shore up their defense. Their offense doing their part of the work right now.
Danny White comes out throwing. Out it comes to Ron Springs at the 30, 35, and Springs just short of the first down at the 42-yard line. Well, you wonder, with all this offensive fireworks in the NFL, last week 9 quarterbacks throwing for better than 300 yards. It's beginning to look like the old AFL. We constantly see these 38-35 games. You wonder if defense is ever going to come back.
Well, the rules, of course, it's been brought up, and week in and week out, the 2 major rules. You cannot hit a receiver 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, and that gives a lot of those receivers that are reluctant to go over the middle. They can do it now. Plus the pass protection, the offensive linemen can extend their arms, so the advantages have been to the offense, and now the coaches are doing something about it.
2nd down 2. Cowboys at their 41. White throwing on 2nd and 2, and he lets it go. Tony Hill! Touchdown!
Year, but this time Danny gets it up in the air. Plenty of distance. Tony Hill runs by Carl Allen. Excellent pass, excellent catch, and it's a touchdown. So we've got some fireworks today, Frank.
You like big plays, you have come to the right place. Texas Stadium. We've seen a ton of them, and we're not even at halftime yet. Septien with the extra point tries. It took the Cowboys 2 plays to get the touchdown back. The kick is good. It's a 21-17 football game with 6 minutes left to play in the half.
21, Dallas 17.
Well, we've seen some plays.
White coming back, throwing the football very well on his own. He has hit now 9 out of 16 passes. And Danny's right around the 150-yard mark in the passing department. Well, he's better than that. 176 to be precise.
Well, that was your basic streak or deep route. Man on man, Hill against Allen, straight down the field. Cardinal offense can sit down over there. They better just go over the sidelines and keep their gear on.
Willard Harrell will field this one at the 5. Back to the 15. Harrell is out to the 20. Fumbled at the 21-yard line. Bill Rowe, number 56. Rookie Cowboy linebacker in the stop. I don't think either offense better sit down.
Kickoff return brought down by Bill Rowe at the 22-yard line.
Again, a very key game, at least as far as Dallas is concerned.
You know, Washington's...
They'll get no help from the Redskins, looks like.
Yeah, they've had their problems the last couple of weeks, and against Minnesota.
Redskins are due at Texas Stadium next Sunday afternoon to face the Cowboys. 1st and 10. Wayne Morris out to the 24-yard line. Stacked up by John Dutton and Ed Too Tall Jones. Looks like Too Tall fell down in a vat of dye or something. His white jersey is almost completely obliterated in blue from the number, of course, the dye getting onto the jersey itself. 2nd and 7. Long count play this time. Hart. Pass is complete. We got a flag. Thrown at the line of scrimmage. Pass completion going to Dave Stieff, number 84, who has taken Mel Gray's place. Gray out with a sprained ankle, but we got word earlier that he would be back. The penalty is against St. Louis. Thus far, for the most part, a penalty-free ball game. Rain has stopped here at Texas Stadium. Rained a good portion of the night and all morning long. And on into the first few minutes of the game.
Legal motion, number 87, offense, 2nd down.
The motion call against the tight end Doug Marsh moves it back to the 20. It's now 2nd and 11. Baltimore leading Detroit 10-3. Boy, the Lions have really had their problems in the last 6 weeks or so. Hart on 2nd and 11. Good protection over the middle. Pass is incomplete. Good defense that time, and now we get a flag. Aaron Mitchell made the hit, and the flag was thrown from 25 yards away, deep in the secondary.
Well, on the replay, we can see it better, but it looked like interference to me initially.
Pass interference, defense, number 34.
It's on Aaron Mitchell, and that means an automatic first down.
Now we can see it better here, but you can't hit that receiver before the ball's there, and it looked close by the naked eye, and now we get a chance to see it again. Here's Hart. Yeah.
Number 34, defense.
He looked like he was hit before the ball got there.
That draws some boos from above. This game has been a sellout for several months, but quite a few no-shows today with the temperature in the 40s and the chilling rain. 1st and 10. Cardinals at the 30-yard line, leading 21-17 with 5 minutes left in the first half. Anderson. John Dutton stands him up at the 32.
Big John's in there, number 78. Like a big tree in there. It's hard to run on him.
Dutton spells Larry Cole at that left defensive tackle position. Speaking of Larry Cole, yesterday was his 34th birthday, and today happens to be the 30th birthday of Harvey Martin.
The Giants are still playing well, Frank.
That'll be a 2-game winning streak. They may play themselves right out of the first draft choice. Break up the Giants. 2nd and 7. St. Louis from the 33. Anderson.
Well,
he made something out of nothing is what he did.
Well, he found a little bit of daylight in there, not much. But that explosion, he accelerated upfield and got 6 or 7 yards out of a play that could have been stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Close enough to measure for the first down. Cardinals have averaged right at 100 yards rushing over the last 5 games, but that's rather weak, anemic compared to the 165 yards over the first 5 games of the season. Looks like St. Louis is going to be a little bit short. Something else about the Cardinals. They tied an NFL record this year, losing 2 games in overtime. But most of the luck that they have had has been bad. 3rd down, less than a yard for the first down at their 40. Anderson. First down and a couple to spare as he takes it out to the 44-yard line. Benny Barnes, number 31, coming up from the corner to make the stop.
Well, there's good blocking the point of attack right there, Frank. They pushed Dallas back. Number 71, Joe Bostek, was over there. Also, Morris leading gets a block on Bruning. You got Doug Marsh, number 87, pushing on D.D. Lewis. So there's excellent blocking at the point of attack.
Anderson comes out of the lineup and is replaced by Willard Harrow. He appears to be all right. I don't think it's an injury-related thing. They just want to give him a little rest. Harrow, well, he wanted to throw the option pass and then was forced to run it. Thurman ran him out of bounds on the far side. Perhaps that's the reason they substituted him at that point.
Well, they wanted to throw the option pass on the right cornerback, Aaron Mitchell, so they have a left-hander to do it, so that's probably why they substituted him. But Aaron Mitchell did a good job, and there was nowhere to throw the ball, so Harrell has to get out of bounds and gains a yard on it.
2nd and 9. Cardinals at their 45. They lead 21-17. Dennis Thurman got over there quickly, and Mike Hagman, number 58, made a mighty leap for the ball. There were not any Cardinal receivers in the immediate vicinity.
He was going for Tilley, but the ball was overthrown. But the pass protection is excellent here. Jim Hart is back. He's got plenty of time. He just has more time than you normally need. He throws it. It's high over Pat Tilley's head.
That's only his second misfire of the afternoon. Hart is 6 out of 8 now for 155 yards. 3rd and 9. St. Louis. Cardinals at their 45. Dave Stieff, number 84, had his hands on the ball. Steve Wilson, who was not expected to play with the hamstring muscle pull, number 45, was back defending. And St. Louis will punt with 2:55 left in the half and give Dallas an opportunity to actually go to intermission leading.
I think Steve tried to run before he caught that ball. He was probably a yard short of the first down anyway.
James Jones is deep along with Roland Solomon as Swider prepares to do the punting. Solomon at the 18, up to the 20, and is dropped at the 26-yard line. Charles Baker, number 52 of the Cardinals, making the tackle. Boy, we've seen a ton of big plays in this football game. You joined us late. You have missed a lot, but we'll have highlights for you at halftime, along with scores of other games, such as this one. The Minnesota Vikings leading Tampa Bay. Vikings may win this division yet.
That Central Division has been up and down. Minnesota looked like they were out of it. They've come back the last few weeks, and now they've got Tampa Bay here 21-13.
Our score 21-17. St. Louis leading Dallas. 1st and 10 Cowboys at their 26-yard line. Dorsett is in the backfield along with Ron Springs. Billy Joe Dupree in motion. Dorsett takes the pitch. Reaching the 30-yard line, stacked up Curtis Greer, the first man to hit him and to finish him off.
See what Dallas is doing also, Frank. They've got Billy Joe Dupree going from one side to the other, and you wonder what they're trying to do. That shows a lot of respect for, there goes Billy Joe across. That shows a lot of respect for Lee Nelson, because they don't want him forcing. So they're sending Billy Joe across the other side. Nelson's got to go across, and they're pitching it back to Dorsett. So they've got a lot of respect for Lee Nelson, his ability to force the run.
I'm sure you remember Lee Nelson very well from your playing days, especially the first game that he ever played against the Cowboys. 2nd down 6. Dorsett trying to go outside. Isn't there. Loss of the play back to the 27. And we're down to the 2-minute warning. First game that Lee Nelson ever played against the Cowboys. You threw 19 passes at him.
That's right.
Obviously, you didn't think as much of him then as you do now.
He's coming on strong, and he's an excellent strong safety now for St. Louis.
That was back in his quarterback days. Cowboys have a 3rd and 9 upcoming as we go back to play. 1 minute and 59 seconds left to play in the first half. They have 2 timeouts if they elect to use them. And the ball is at the Dallas 28-yard line. Cowboys trail 21-17.
Well, with the weapons both teams have, this is a big play. 3rd and 8 before the half. Dallas would like to keep the ball and keep it away from St. Louis, if anything else.
Cowboys have that 3rd down shotgun offense in there. Preston Pearson and company. Danny White drills through Pearson at the 40. First down at the 43-yard line. Well, now Pearson is 2 catches away from becoming the Cowboys' all-time leading receiver. Supplanting Bob Hayes. Hurry up offense here. No huddle. White pumps it once. Finally gets rid of the football. But I believe they had ruled he was down back at the 38-yard line.
He's down.
Ron Jankowski, number 78, with a big pass rush for St. Louis.
Well, Dallas has their hurry-up offense. They gave up 1 timeout before. They've got 2 left, and they called 2 plays in the huddle. Completed the first one to Drew, and are trying to get the next one probably out of bounds. And White was going for Dorsett over there, but he was covered by a linebacker, and he also had someone on the outside waiting for him, so White took the trap.
Second down, 15. Cowboys from their 38 following the loss. Preston Pearson across the 40 up to the 42-yard line. And the clock continues to move. See if they call. They're not going to call time, or they're going to keep right on going.
Bob Pollard made an excellent play that time, number 82.
It is third down now, 11. Cowboys have the football at their 42-yard line. White looking downfield. Oh, the play at the 40-yard line of St. Louis, down to the 38. Clock still moving, and now the Cowboys call the time with 38 seconds left to play. Big first down.
Nobody near Billy Joe Dupree.
At the Cardinal 38. You notice Drew Pearson wearing gloves down there. That's a little unusual for a wide receiver, isn't it?
Well, it's pretty much in vogue the last couple of years in cold weather. They've got the gloves so tight now, fitted so tight that there's not much difference. 2 schools of thought. A lot of wide receivers are wearing them now, though.
Coaches obviously don't mind it.
A lot of them coaches don't like it.
They'd rather you go barehanded regardless of how cold it is. There's Pearson, and a look at the gloves that Drew is wearing. I read in your book that one of your most memorable moments really was tied up with this man.
Well, Drew's something special. I've appreciated him since 1973. He stepped in for Otto Stowe, and he's probably been one of the most consistent wide receivers in the NFL throughout his career. Year in, year out, he's been healthy. He's made the big plays. He'll catch the ball over the middle, and he's just a special football player and recognized by his peers as such.
Otto Stowe got hurt that year, and he became the Wally Pipp kind of pro football. Nobody had ever heard of him again. By the way, you haven't sent me a copy of that book yet.
I'll keep that in mind, Frank.
How much is it going to cost me?
You know, Drew was a free agent that year also, by the way. He was a free agent on the Dallas Cowboys. Kind of in the mold of Cliff Harris, free agents that have made it big.
In his first year, too, he came and worked with you. Did he not all summer before?
He worked in the off season, and no one knew him very well. He was a free agent from Tulsa and a former quarterback and a wide receiver at Tulsa, and he just worked hard. He's an example of perseverance, setting a goal and going after that goal no matter what the obstacles are.
First and 10. Cowboys at the 38-yard line of the St. Louis Cardinals. 38 seconds to go in the half. Dallas trails by 4. They have 1 timeout left. Sideline throw to Tony Hill. Let's see, did he get out of bounds? Yes. Out of bounds at the 29. So that stops the clock with 33 seconds.
I'd like to see the replay on that if we can. I don't know if Roger Worley touched him right here. Roger should have touched him. He caught the ball and he was in bounds when he caught. Jim Hannafin's arguing about it over there. Let's see if Roger Worley touches him right here. He does. He touched him. That ball was, he should have.
All you got to do is touch him when he's down, and that should stop the clock if he's in the field of play.
The clock should not have stopped that time.
Second and 1.
Here they come. They got the whole team coming now.
Again, Hill was the intended receiver with Roger Worley pursuing at the 20-yard line. They had everybody except Billy Bidwell rushing.
They had them all. Well, they're trying to keep Dallas out of that field goal range. They're in range now, but it's questionable on the 29-yard line. And Dallas has got to go for the first down. They've got 3rd and 2 right now.
That would mean from this point a 46-yard field goal attempt on a wet field.
A little play on the sidelines, a big play. They don't. They let the clock stop there, and Dallas probably would have had to use a timeout. And they've got 1 timeout left.
They need to get that first down. They have 3rd and 1.
Watch the run by Dorsett here.
White, good protection. Intercepted. Roy Green at the 15. Up to the 20. And and dragged down at the 25-yard line. The first interception of the afternoon by either side. Danny White's going to feel like he's getting snake bit when he gets to this end of the field.
Well, the ball was going to Tony Hill, and Danny White was looking for Tony over the middle. He just didn't get enough on it, didn't get it high enough, and Roy Green makes a nice play, excellent play right here. Cuts in front of Tony Hill and saves either a field goal or touchdown for St. Louis.
So it is first down now for the Cardinals at their 25 with 20 seconds left on the clock to run out here in the first half.
There's another angle of the play, and again, Roy Green cuts in front of Tony Hill.
Otis Anderson and Wayne Morris, the running backs. Morris straight up the middle as we get a flag. Takes it out to the 34 for a pickup of 8 yards. Cardinals have 2 timeouts left, but they don't seem inclined to use them.
Wayne Morris is a product of Dallas here, went to SMU. Loves to play well in Texas Stadium. Of course, he's not getting much of a chance to run today. St. Louis has been working the big passing game and Otis Anderson.
Number 79, defense, encroachment, lined up in the neutral zone, decline, second down.
Harvey Martin was offside. The Cardinals declined it because the gain, in this case 9 yards, involves 4 more yards than the penalty. 15 seconds to go. As fast as they can strike, I don't see why they don't go for it all. And the luck that they've had. Hart's reading my mind. Steve, the intended receiver. Wilson back there defending with him down at the 30-yard line. That leaves 9 seconds on the clock, and now we've got a little altercation back at the line of scrimmage. Harvey Martin.
Harvey's mad at somebody.
Yeah. Well, the officials lost his hat down there. Martin, number 79, being pushed back by his teammates, including Charlie Waters trying to be the peacemaker there, and Randy White. Still 3rd and 1.
Oh, Harvey's really hot. Of course, the man blocking him over there, the left tackle, is George Collins. I don't know if it's George or somebody else he's mad at. I'm sure George is not worried about it.
The free safety, Dennis Thurman, is 35 yards downfield. I mean, Thurman was standing back on his own 35, and we're at the Cardinal 35.
Thurman had 1 foot in the locker room.
He really did. Well, that's it. An exciting first half, I think you'll agree. And far from being decided here at Texas Stadium.
Back live in New York, I'm Brent Musburger with Irv Cross. The New England Patriots are on the move again, and right now, in that showdown with the Los Angeles Rams, they lead at 17-14. They are in the 4th period. The Patriots have penetrated down to the Ram 15-yard line. Elsewhere around the league right now, we have Atlanta running away from New Orleans 24-7, so the Falcons could wind up 2 games ahead of the Rams. And Green Bay trying to come back, but it has been Phil Simms to Ernest Gray for 3 touchdown passes that has the Giants ahead and in control. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in trouble. If they lose, they would be 6-5, and many feel they might fall completely out of the playoff picture with still another setback. Baltimore over Detroit 10-9, 3 Eddie Murray field goals, 47 and 24 yards the first 2 in that contest. Buffalo leading Cincinnati by 7 points, and as you can see, they are now in the 4th period. Philadelphia, no trouble against Washington. Jimmy the Greek has reported that Jack Pardee in serious trouble with the Redskins, and at the half, St. Louis, of course, leading Dallas 21-17. They're averaging 53 yards a touchdown in that contest. And Minnesota over Tampa Bay 24-13. Well, let's show you some action from around the league. The Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots, and again, as I reported, the Patriots are still on the move in that contest. Here was the first touchdown. It was Ferragamo to Hicks.
Pretty nice throw, right on the 5-yard line. Hicks fighting himself and finding his way into the end zone.
Then it was Brogan back to Hasselback for 35 yards.
Hasselbeck is a guy you don't hear much about. Everybody talks about Russ Francis, but he's an excellent backup tight end.
Ferragamo has a problem with the 3-4. He experienced it again last week against Miami. Today, one of the Patriot linebackers, that means Steve Nelson, stepped this interception back to the Los Angeles 2-yard line. And then there was a flea flicker play. Ferragamo to Bryant, back to Ferragamo, and here comes the long pass to Preston Bernard. And so the Rams break out the gadgets, and Elvis Peacock got the touchdown.
Powering over his right tackle, no problem, inside the 1-yard line.
And Phil Simms of the Giants on his first play went to Ernest Gray.
It's a way to open up a ball game. First time you touch the ball, you go all the way.
The Packer defense finally jumped on Simms in this sequence, and Eddie O'Neill comes up with the loose football. And a man who's had a good day for Bart Starr, Jerry Ellis.
Number 31, carries the same number Taylor used to wear years ago and powers his way into the end zone.
Second time, Simms, Gray, 20 yards, touchdown, Giants. And on fourth down, watch this. The Giant offensive team huddled, and on the break, the punting team ran on the field. And the Packers are saying, wait, I got to use up a timeout. And they did, down to 2, and shortly later, it was Simms to Ernest Gray, 4 yards, and the Giant touchdown. Now you're watching Ron Jaworski of the Eagles.
They like to go to their tight ends inside the 20-yard line. Here's the first touchdown pass to Keith Crepley from Jaworski. He comes back a few plays later and hits Spagnola, another backup tight end for a touchdown.
Now watch this Eagle defense here, Irv, on back-to-back plays. First it was a sack, and then the interception by Jerry Robinson.
Jerry Robinson was a wide receiver in college, has tremendous speed. Slides and hit her for a sack here first. There's a fumble recovery here, Brent. Here, Jerry Robinson picks it up, number 56. Now watch this guy go out of UCLA, All-American, 3 years at UCLA as a linebacker. He's a tremendous wide receiver in high school. Look at the speed he possesses. He goes all the way for the score.
All right, you want to know how the Patriots are doing? They're inside the 5-yard line right now. How about the New Orleans Saints? Came into the game 0-10. They're going to come out 0-11, the way it looks. Archie Manning, of course, took them right back down the field in their first sequence. And there you see a replay from the action. And John Smith warming up on the Patriots sideline right now. The most accurate kicker in the National Football League. And the most anonymous name, John Smith. Here's Grogan now with the Patriots at the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 2. And a fumble and a critical turnover inside the 5-yard line, Irv. With the score 17-14. Rams ahead in the 4th period. The Patriots have turned the ball over. We'll keep you up to date as the NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations. Control room in New York, and you know, no rivalry is more bitter than the war between the NFC and the AFC, and the AFC has dominated that contest completely in recent seasons. But as Irv reports, there are signs that may be a-changing because of a shifting balance of power at one dominant position.
They were the quarterbacks of the 70s, and between them won 7 Super Bowls. Greasy, Stabler, and the Pittsburgh Steelers' incomparable Terry Bradshaw. He brought 4 trophies back to this town and renamed it the City of Champions. The AFC was the dominant conference in pro football, and everyone thought it was because of their great quarterbacks. But in the first season of the 80s, the names and faces are changing, and no one knows this any better than Pittsburgh's number 1.
I think that they're realizing what we realized a long time ago is that you can make a lot of things happen by throwing the football as well as running it.
Play action fake to Peacock, and Ferragamo going deep to Waddy. Jaworski fakes left and goes deep right for Scott Fitzke.
Split the running backs, everybody flooded out. Bartkowski goes up top, wants all of it. He's got Alfred Jenkins, and he's got a touchdown.
The new look in the NFC comes from quarterbacks like Atlanta's Steve Bartkowski. The 6th year in the league is best by far, and he has the Falcons in first to prove it.
He's certainly playing well this year, and he's got all the talent in the world. Boy, keeps getting thrown the ball.
So can Philadelphia's Ron Jaworski. And with that arm at the controls, the Eagles on the best record in the NFL.
They've got the makings of an outstanding football team, and I think Jaworski is absolutely the key to any kind of success that they're going to have now and in the future.
Out west, the future belongs to the Rams' Vince Ferragamo, trying to lead his team back to the Super Bowl.
He's emerged and has taken control, and if he doesn't get involved with the Los Angeles and Hollywood build-up and all the garbage that we've been reading about, he's become a big superstar.
And he's not the only one. New York has Phil Simms. Danny White is driving the Cowboys. Vince Evans of the Bears has the strongest arm in the Midwest. And Len Dickey is reviving the Pack is Back slogan. The conference rivalry is heating up.
When we play them, we want to beat them and want to beat them badly. So I would say the rivalry certainly exists.
And it is changing. The quarterbacks of the 70s are about to be replaced.
Irv, how about that young quarterback at Detroit?
Oh, Gary Daniels, he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Sorry we missed him in that piece.
How long is Terry Bradshaw going to play? Rumors that he might retire within a season?
Forget about it. He told me he's going to play as long as he possibly can. He enjoys football, and as long as it's fun, he's going to play.
All right. Thank you, Irv. Let's send you back to the stadium now and the game you're enjoying on CBS.
And we're back once again at Texas Stadium, halftime, with the St. Louis Cardinals leading the Dallas Cowboys 21-17. I imagine in that Cardinal dressing room there's an interesting conversation going on, especially after what happened last week.
I think so. I think it's a psychology session saying, let's pretend the game's just starting. Let's go out there and pretend it's a beginning. Last week they were ahead 24-6 at the half, and of course the week before they lost a close one to Dallas in the closing seconds. They've got to forget about that. They've got to lead today, and down deep they've got to believe they can maintain the lead.
They've had such bad luck, though, against the Cowboys in the past. I guess you got to be a little hesitant, wondering if it's going to happen to you again. Are you going to lose it in the closing minutes again?
It's a factor, and Jim Hart mentioned it during the week. You got to have that hunger and that killer instinct, and some of the other St. Louis players have mentioned they've lost some close games this year, so they're in another close one today, and I'm sure they're thinking about what's happened in the past. You got to forget about it or you're in trouble.
Cowboys simply have to shut down the big play if they're going to beat the Cardinals. The teams are back in the field. We'll be ready for the second half kickoff in just a moment. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. The team's back on the field, and the rain has started to fall once again, and it's falling probably as heavy now as it was prior to the game and early this morning. It had let up for the entire second period and the latter stages of the first quarter, but it is coming down pretty hard right now. It's expected to continue. The temperatures in the 40s, and in fact they're expecting sleet and snow tonight here in the Dallas area. Here's a look at the halftime stats.
Well, they indicate, of course, the big offensive plays. Dallas had 43 to St. Louis's 26, but the St. Louis has made the most of their plays. That's why they have the edge, and of course you have the time of possession. But St. Louis has made the big plays, the big passes, and of course the run by Otis Anderson.
3 long touchdowns by the St. Louis Cardinals, propelling them to this 21-17 lead. As Septien kicks it off. Willard Harrell back at the 4-yard line. 10, 15, 20, and knocked out of bounds near the 25. Officials will mark it at the 26. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Cardinals from that point.
Now that's an excellent kickoff there, Frank. I'll bring this point up. He kicked it to the corner, and you take a chance when you kick it to the corner, maybe kicking out of bounds, but once you put it in the corner, there's not a whole lot of room to run to, and it messes up a team's return. And of course Dallas has kept them back inside that 30-yard line, which is their goal.
We're talking about the psychological factor. I would imagine this first possession by St. Louis probably will be very important in this football game to see if they can keep up the offensive momentum. Anderson out across the 30-yard line, down at the 33, but not before he gets 6 or 7.
Otis is hurting. His shoulder's hurting him a little bit. He was holding the shoulder earlier in the game and seems to be bothering him somewhat now.
He plays hurt very well, and as you can see, he's off to an excellent start in this football game. 78 yards on the ground in the first half. Attempted to become the first rusher ever to gain 100 yards against the Cowboys on 3 separate occasions. 2nd down, 4. Cardinals at their 31. Wayne Morris stacked up short of the 35. Cardinals are going to be looking at a 3rd and 2.
Of course, Jim Hart, you saw, completed or attempted 10 passes for 155 yards. An excellent rule of thumb in the NFL is yards per attempt by a quarterback. If he's got a high one anywhere in the 8-yard category is excellent. Of course, Hart today is 15 yards per pass attempt. That's been the name of the game in the first half for St. Louis.
Lights have been on for some time here at Texas Stadium. Cardinals are going to call timeout, as Hart wants to come over to the sidelines and confer with head coach Jim Hanifin. What'd you feel like in mornings when you woke up? You saw it miserable like this when you play it.
Well, I wanted to go back to bed, but you had no choice. You had to go out and play and forget about it. Rains on both sides.
Frank Lieber along with Roger Staubach with 13 minutes and 47 seconds remaining in the third period. And the Cardinals leading by 4. They have a 3rd and 2 upcoming at their 35-yard line. Wayne Morris and Otis Anderson to the backfield behind Jim Hart. Doug Marsh at the 40. The tight end is across the 50 and into Dallas territory, down to the 43-yard line. Rookie tight end from Michigan and number 2 draft choice, and he was wide open.
Well, that was an excellent play by St. Louis. They had Rod Phillips out in the flat, and Marsh just found that little seam right in the over the middle. Of course, Dallas was looking for the run. They had a deep receiver that time. Tilley was going downfield, and Marsh was right in that seam. Watch, we can see Rod Phillips goes out in the flat. Hart looks out there. The cornerback goes out, and then there's Marsh just catches the ball between everybody.
So the Cardinals are driving here with the opening kickoff here in the second half. They have a first down at the Dallas 43-yard line. Second man is O.J. Anderson. Bounces off a tackle at the line of scrimmage, but is stopped after a pickup of just a yard. Otis a little upset. He and D.D. Lewis having some words down there.
Stop on the play made by Cole and Thurman. A gain of 2 yards.
Give him 2 on the play, make it second down 8 from the 41-yard line of Dallas. Cardinals, the last team other than the Cowboys to win the Eastern Division title. They did it in 74 and 75. They were rated as the dark horse team coming in this year, but it hasn't worked out that way. Anderson behind Wayne Morris is blocked. Saw nothing there. We get a flag thrown in the defensive secondary. Flag was thrown downfield 20 yards away from the play. Hard feelings on both sides here.
There is, and also that's against St. Louis. Anderson looked like he hurt himself a little bit jumping over the bench. But he's back, run on the field, so he's in good shape.
Option being decided. Obviously resting with the Cowboys. Bob Brunig, the Cowboy middle linebacker, number 53. Talking to the referee, Chuck Eberling. A 10-yarder against the Cardinals, and Chuck will tell us why.
Holding, offense, number 80, second down.
Chris Combs, the second tight end of the Cardinal double tight end offense, guilty of the holding call. That moves him back in their end of the field to the 49-yard line, and now they're looking at a 2nd and 18. Marsh wide to the right side. Dave Stieff has split to the left. We haven't seen Gray since early in the game when he went out with a sprained ankle.
Here they come.
Hart under pressure, throws it over the middle and throws it away. Dexter Clinching blew through there from the Cowboys secondary on the blitz and forced Hart to hurry his throw. Hart is now 7 out of 12 for 177.
Here's the replay again. Again, it's strictly pressure. He had Tilley going down through that middle again, but he can't. He doesn't have enough time to step up and really heave it, and really just throws the ball away there.
It is 3rd down at 18.
Here's another angle. You got Ed Jones coming from the outside, but the real pressure was from the inside on the blitz. Clinching and Charlie Waters both.
3rd down 18. Partisan Cowboy crowd. Watch the Cowboys to hold him. Aaron Mitchell made sure he had both hands up in the air and away from the intended receiver, Dave Stieff. number 84. Mitchell didn't want to get flagged again on the pass interference, which would have meant an automatic first down. So the Cardinals offensive unit takes the opening kickoff in the second half, picks up 2 first downs, and now has to give it up. Swider standing back at his 34-yard line.
Oh, that got off the end of his foot, but it's going to carry down and
makes a good Cardinal bounce and is going to be downed and goes out of bounds at the 2. It looked like Steve, number 84, was going to slide into the end zone with the football. He wound up sliding into the end zone.
Almost hit the back of it, the leg of a Dallas player also.
Let's take a look at the end of that punt again, Roger.
Yeah, here it goes. Dallas player got close to that. He should have just got away from the football. Right there, it almost hits a Dallas player. And then here comes Steve coming in and does a good job. He pushes it back right there. Excellent job.
He had it in his hands, but he saw that he was sliding into the end zone. Obviously, he didn't want to go in with the ball, or it would have been a touchback. That's what you quarterbacks love, a challenge. Get the ball at your own 5-yard line or so, huh? Officials ruled it went out of bounds at the 6. Thought it was closer than that, didn't you?
I did too.
Well, we can look at that replay again if we have a moment. Robert Newhouse ran into one of his own blockers and is wrapped up at the line of scrimmage.
Well, he was hit first by Eric Williams, then finally Calvin Favron brought him down.
One of the Cowboys is shaken up on the play. I know we still have that replay left on that punt, but I would swear that thing went out of bounds inside the 5 and closer to the 2-yard line.
We got Jay Salty down, number 87.
Yeah. He was involved in the collision with Newhouse after the ball was snapped. Salty, the backup tight end of the Cowboys, down on the field. We've got a timeout. We'll be back at Texas Stadium in just a moment. Roger and I are still talking about the spot of that ball following the punt.
Well, I don't think this is going to affect the outcome of the game, but it was an interesting call right here. Here's the ball, and you lose the ball behind, I guess, the Benny Barnes right there, and then it's back into play, and right there, the referee still is not signaling. Once he throws a ball, now he signals that the ball's in play, but they move it back to the 6. So evidently they were saying Steve momentum carried him in the end zone. They marked it back to the 5-yard line.
It is 2nd and 10 for the Cowboys at their 6-yard line. Tony Hill trying to break the tackle of Carl Allen. Wound up getting back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, Jay Salty walked off the field on his own, and that was good to see. Jay Salty is leading the tight ends in receptions. He's in the 20s this year. He's having a great year. He's Mr. Utility. He comes in with 2 tight ends with Billy Joe Dupree, alternates plays, and he's just a valuable asset to that football team, and he seems to be all right.
Here's our first final score of the day. Buffalo beating Cincinnati. Shutting them out, as a matter of fact. Our score, 21-17. Cardinals lead the Cowboys. Little over 10 minutes left in the 3rd period, and Dallas looking at a 3rd and 4 from the 11-yard line. Otherwise, the Cowboys will be punting from their end zone. From the shotgun, Dorsett at the 20 has the first down. So the Cowboys get themselves out of a hole with a first down at the 22-yard line.
Well, Dorsett catches this right between the linebacker and number 25, Roy Green. There's a hole right in there. They're worried about Tony Hill to the outside, but Dorsett finds the hole in the middle, and Lee Nelson is here. Roy Green is coming over, and it's an excellent read by Danny White. Here's another angle. Danny's looking to that left side between Tony Hill and Dorsett, and Dorsett has got the hole.
Pitch to Dorsett. Gets a block from Ron Springs, but not much there. He got to the 15-yard line. They pick up a 4 as the defender almost took Springs and dumped him in Dorsett's lap. You know, Tony was not that much of the passing game last year. How did you feel about his receiving?
He really picked up last year. Was his first big year in the passing game. He caught 45 passes. The first 2 years, not so much, but last year he made an impact in the passing game. He's got good hands. and he can run with the football. And of course, they're using more this year. And last year he did catch 45 passes.
He's rushed for 50 yards and 12 carries. Second down, 7. Cowboys at their 25. Drew Pearson in motion. Pitch goes to Dorsett. Looks for the opening. Finds a little bit of a hole and gets out across the 30 to the 33. That is a first down. He made a lot out of a little there.
Well, there was a little crease in there, but he kept those legs driving, and he's got the speed and the explosion, and he got a few yards out of what it looked like originally a tough situation.
So another first down for the Cowboys, this one at their 33-yard line.
It's Tom Landry over there talking to Dan Reeves up in the press box.
Cardinals lost 7 of their first 10, but 5 have been by a touchdown or less. They played everybody close, it seems. Danny White over the middle. The intended receiver was Drew Pearson. He was surrounded by 4 red shirts.
Well, that ball was drilled in there, though. I thought Drew had the ball, but he was hit immediately and couldn't hold on to it.
Rain continues to fall and fall hard here at Texas Stadium, glistening off the artificial turf. Atlanta handing New Orleans their 11th straight loss. It's been raining in New Orleans all year.
That's amazing. They're having their difficulties, to say the least.
I would say that's the understatement of the year. In Baltimore, 1 point over Detroit. Robert Newhouse breaks a tackle, gets out to the 40-yard line with a second effort.
Well, Newhouse is running hard. He's been a thorn in the side of St. Louis for years, and of course he's a fine running back, an excellent running back. He's had some physical problems off and on the last 2 years, but when he's healthy, he can run with the best of them. He's tough to bring down. He keeps those legs driving. He's not real big, but his legs are like tree trunks, and he keeps moving and gets the extra yardage there.
Newhouse has had 5 100-yard games in his career. 2 have come against the Cardinals, both in St. Louis. In fact, his personal high in '73 was 124 yards in a game against the Cardinals. On 3rd and 3, Danny White back into the pocket. Is it complete?
No.
Tony Hill was the intended receiver, and they rule that it hit the turf first. The pass was trapped, and so the Cowboys will be punting. 4th and 3 upcoming.
Tony Hill was open. Danny just underthrew that, threw it into the ground, and cost him the first down.
White will be punting with 8 minutes and 53 seconds left to play in the 3rd period. Cardinals have 3 men deep. So it looks like they're playing return all the way. White is going to run it. And finally decides to kick it.
Well, he took his chances there because he knew he'd have somebody downfield, but
look at this
he
punt.
did an excellent job. There had to be somebody downfield, though, Frank, because he took too long to kick the ball. You can't take that much time. But he was going to run, and again, he's a very heady quarterback. And
you call that one right on the head. The Cowboys guilty of having someone downfield too soon. Same situation we had in the San Francisco game. Keep in mind, in that game, he punted the ball beyond the line of scrimmage.
I learned something that day.
Yeah, well, we all did. That rule doesn't apply.
All the rules you have, you think you know them, and once you get past the line of scrimmage and punt a football, it doesn't matter if anybody's downfield, but you are allowed to punt. Right, you can kick the ball anywhere on the field, Frank. But if you kick it behind the line of scrimmage, there are rules to prevent linemen from going downfield.
So White drying his hands will have to do it again. The Cowboys penalize 5.
Ineligible man downfield, offense number 65. 4th down.
They had Steve that time. Of course, Danny White has been seen on films running the ball, so they had Steve there watching him, and of course White saw him and decided to run 1 minute, and then decided he better not and punted the ball, and it didn't hurt him.
Again, the Cardinals playing return all the way. Again, a beautiful kick. Green backpedaling to the 10-yard line. Looking for some place to go. He's at the 15. We get a flag as he reaches the 20, and I believe we had a clip called against the Cardinals. Gerard Williams, number 29.
Roy Green on the return.
That'll put it back to the 10-yard line. So Dallas has got him back in tough field position.
Illegal use of hands or holding against the Cardinals. Same difference as far as the penalty is concerned. So that will move it back to the 10. And the Cardinals will put it in play from there.
See if it can be inside the 10.
They move it down to the 6.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 29 on a return. First down.
Well, right man, wrong penalty. Gerard Williams, it was. Guilty of the infraction. It was illegal use of hands. Timeout being called as you see it here.
Here it is right here, number 29. He just pushes him down right there.
Timeout at Texas Stadium with 8:27 left to play in the third period, and the Cardinals still leading the Cowboys 21-17. Take a look at Danny White once again on the punt where he almost ran the football.
Yes, he can punt the football anywhere on the field, but if he punts it behind the line of scrimmage, of course, the lineman can't go downfield till he punts. And he's looking here, decides to run, and there's Big Dave Steve, number 84. Now he decides to punt. Of course, he's still behind the line of scrimmage, and his linemen have taken off because it's a timing. They snap the ball, they wait a few counts, and they take off.
You can punt anywhere on the field, anytime on a scrimmage play. If you get a kickoff, you can punt it back to the other team if you want.
That's the old rugby rule.
That's what it is.
That's how football started.
First and 10. Cardinals backed up to their 6-yard line. Following White's punt, Wayne Morris trying to get outside and does so. Across the 15 to the 16-yard line. He's got 10.
That's a big run right there. Morris came very close to the first down. In fact, he's about an inch or two away. But that gets him out of some trouble.
Cardinals have the same opportunity the Cowboys had, starting from their 6.
Here's Wayne Morris. He's in there at fullback. He's got Otis blocking for him out there. A good block on D.D. Lewis, number 50. And, of course, Wayne Morris takes advantage of it and falls about maybe an inch short of the first down.
It'll be second in inches. St. Louis from its 16-yard line.
There's not too many shutouts in the league, and, of course, we've seen 2 of them today.
Philadelphia shutting out the Redskins, 24-0. That means they'll stay atop the NFC East by at least 2 games, and maybe more, depending on what the Cowboys do. Again, Wayne Morris driving for the first down across the 20 out to the 22-yard line. Getting a little bit slipperier now as the rain continues to pelt down. It's a very cold, chilling rain, too, at the temperature in the low 40s. That's a final. Pittsburgh comes from behind with 9 points in the last quarter.
What a game. Not so fast there.
Not so fast.
False start, number 66, Red.
George Collins and Harvey Martin have been going at it, and George wanted to get a little advantage on that play. Pulled up a little soon. George has been doing a good job, though. He and Barney Cotton both, left tackle, left guard, and as Dan Deerdorf mentioned earlier in the game, Frank, these 2 guys have improved each week, and that's all you can expect out of young guys being thrown in there, and they're doing a good job. Jim Hart's overalls had very good protection today.
Walk-off moves the ball back to the 17-yard line. It is first down, 15. Typical Cowboy Cardinal game. Hard fought, close. Hart tipped. Mike Hageman, number 58, tipped the ball.
Mike just saved a completion because Steve was in between the cornerback and the safety right there, and he had a good hole. Mike didn't really get back deep enough. Of course, the ball was thrown on the line, and he tipped it before it got into Steve. Of course, that could have been a touchdown the other way.
Second down, 15. St. Louis from its 17-yard line. Hart is now 7 out of 14. Sideline throw, and the intended receiver, Pat Tilley, fell down as he slipped and tried to make his cut at the 32-yard line.
He was being covered by Benny Barnes, and Benny was in pretty good shape on that. Tilley did slip, but Benny Barnes is out in front of him.
Hey, Dennis Thurman, number 32, said something to Tilly as he headed back into the huddle. And the Rams prevail, beating New England 17-14.
Big victory for the Rams there.
They needed that. Stay pace with Atlanta. Second down. And 15.
Refuse. This will be third down. They refuse the penalty.
Holding penalty called on the Cardinals' Dan Deerdorf, number 72. Turned down by the Cowboys as St. Louis now looks at a third down at 15. Finally lets it go. It'll be short of the first down as the pass was caught by Dave Steef at the 27-yard line.
Well, watch Harvey Martin here. He comes around the corner on George Collins, 79, and Collins number 66 block, and Harvey gets off the ball very well, comes around the corner and puts a big hand on Jim Hart, but Jim shakes it off and with his scrambling abilities gets out to the outside. Anthony Dickerson is chasing him. Of course, he gets the ball to Steve, and it's going to help him, gives him better field position for the punt.
How about that shove that Collins gave Martin right at the end?
Well, that prevented the trap.
Swider, good kick. James Jones, 30, 35, 40. Oh, up to the 48-yard line.
Well, that's what you got to do on a punt. Go north and south, and someone, of course, hit him in there. We didn't see who it was, but Jones did what he had to do, and he almost broke that one.
Carl Allen making the stop. He is a north and south runner, as you say.
That's what you got to do on a punt. Watch, he just takes it up that middle and hopes for the best. He's not going to make any fancy moves once he makes up his mind, and he breaks through there, and if he's not hit right about here, he's got a good chance of going into the end zone.
Cowboys with excellent field position have a first down at their 48. 6 minutes left in the third period. Dallas trailing 21-17. Danny White comes out throwing, hits Dupree over the middle at the Cardinal 44-yard line. Good for 8. 2nd and 2.
Danny White's pass complete to Joe Dupree.
65,040 tickets sold to this game, and we had 12,473 decide to spend it at home. A lot of no-shows today because of the weather.
Well, St. Louis is now working their four-man rush again. They've got 3 linebackers in there.
2nd and 2. Cowboys at the Cardinal 44-yard line. Tony Dorsett has now picked up 61 yards rushing. Here's Dorsett. Down to the 40, down to the 35. Tony Dorsett out of bounds. 26-yard line. First down. So Dorsett coming very close to breaking a long one and picking up the first down for the Cowboys.
He's been very close all day. Here's got Herb Scott, number 68, block, and Newhouse gets a good block. Tony Hill's working downfield, number 80, and then Dorsett breaks the outside off the Hill's block. Gets a good block in Carl Allen and gets an extra 8 or 9 yards.
Dallas was in this area close to the end of the first half when Danny White threw an interception. 21-17. Cardinals lead. Dorsett, 25, 20. Trying to get loose. Worley, number 22. Had him by the back of the jersey. A pickup of 7, 2nd and 3.
Well, they're really hurting that four-man rush because once Dorsett has a little chance to get outside, and here's a good block on Mark Arneson. He tries to bury the play, but there's nobody left outside. Once Dorsett gets out there, it's all up to Roger Worley. There's no more linebacker pursuit once Arneson committed himself, and there wasn't anybody to fill that gap. And of course, Worley brings him down. He's the only man that could, and brings him down in a unusual fashion, but he stopped the touchdown.
Nose of the ball just inside the Cardinal 20-yard line. 2nd and 3. Robert Newhouse, first down at the 15. Herb Scott of the Cowboys was shaken up in the play. That's Herb who lost his hat.
Big Herb, number 68. He's an excellent receiver also, Frank.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, I'll tell you, your last pass completed to the left guard.
Two in a row now for the Giants. First and 10 from...
There's the play action.
Danny White looking over the middle. Drew Pearson. Touchdown.
Boy, kept his feet in bounds. An excellent throw.
He didn't look like he was the prime receiver, was he?
No, they had Newhouse on a swing pass deep into the end zone. Same play last week that was picked off where Newsome, he was trying to hit Newsome and Van Pelt picked it off. This time the linebacker was running with Newhouse and he looked back late to Drew Pearson and made the play.
Now that is Drew's second catch and ties him with Bob Hayes as the all-time leading Cowboy receiver. He needs one to break the Cowboys record. Septien with the extra point kick. It's good.
So here we have the play action right there. He's looking over there to Newhouse. Comes back late to Drew Pearson. Drew keeps the feet in bounds. Good play.
That looked like it had a feather on it.
It did.
Big moment for Drew Pearson. That was his 365th career catch, tying him with Bob Hayes for the Cowboys' all-time receiving record. Here's Septien kicking off. Dallas leading for the first time in the game, 24-21. Willard Harrell from the 15 out to the 20. And finally, run out of bounds. Let's see where they mark him.
He's in good shape.
He just kept on going.
Yeah.
It's going to be close to midfield.
Of course, here's the play again. It's a play action, a fake right there. Newhouse is running to the swing pass deep. White looks, can't find him. He actually had a linebacker right on him, so he throws the ball back to Drew Pearson in front of Carl Allen and touchdown.
Officials say that Harrell went out of bounds at the 42. Still an excellent run back for the Cardinal, and it's first and 10. St. Louis from its 42, trailing for the first time. Otis Anderson across the 45, out to the 47-yard line. Little over 3 minutes remaining in the third period. And O.J. looks like he's hurting. He's going to have to come out.
His shoulder's been bothering him since early in the game, and he's getting a hit.
Harrell comes in to replace him. It'll be second down 6. Cardinals at their 47. Willard Harrell skittering around at the line of scrimmage and is dropped for a loss. Benny Barnes, 31, and Bob Brunig, number 53 in the stop.
Yeah, Bob Brunig patrols that middle very well. He goes down, up and down that line of scrimmage. He's a leading tackler on Dallas, and he's just an excellent leader in their defense and a fine middle linebacker. Dallas now brings in with third down and 6. They bring in that special third down defense. They take out their linebackers, bring in Tony Dickerson, Clinkscale, Solomon, and Steve Wilson.
Steve and Pat Tilley both wide to the left up at the top of the screen. Doug Marsh, the tight end, the receiver, and Barnes knocks him out of bounds. Near the Dallas 45. That's enough for the first down.
That's an excellent play by St. Louis because they've been getting hurt on the blitz. And again, Dallas brought a couple of extra people besides their linemen, and Hart got rid of the ball quick. He had some pressure right there, and he got rid of it quick. It was a quick down and out. Marsh was man-to-man on Benny Barnes, and he got enough for the first down.
Cardinals with a first down at the Dallas 46-yard line. St. Louis turned to come back. They trail 24-21. Steve to the right side, Tilley to the left. Mel Gray left the game in the first half with a sprained ankle. We haven't seen him. There's Steve making the grab. That's good for another 10, maybe 11 yards and a first down at the Dallas 35.
Well, that's very similar to the play to Mel Gray, of course. The ball was low that time, and Steve made a nice play, but it was the play action with the flanker back on a quick down and in. Same play that Gray scored on earlier in the game.
Jim Hannafin, once upon a time the offensive line coach of the Cardiac Cardinals when they won the division in 1974 and 75, and Tom Landry in rain gear across the way. First and 10. Cardinals at the Dallas 35. Anderson is back in there. Anderson carries, and Anderson takes it down to the 28. Cardinals have come back very nicely after taking that kickoff following the Cowboys score.
Excellent drive. Shows some character. Of course, Jim Hart is the kind of quarterback that you never can count yourself in good shape with him out there throwing the football. And, you know, Gray's hurt him a little bit, though. They're concentrating on Tilley over there. Steve has made some nice catches, more of the short variety. They don't have the game breaker in Steve that they do in Gray, but Hart's using his people very well.
Second and 2 from the 28. Wayne Morris driving for the first down. He'll be close at the 25.
He's not going to make it.
Well, St. Louis has lost 9 of the last 12 games between these two teams. 7 of those losses have been by a margin.
I think they're going to mark it, Frank, where they will make it.
Of a touchdown or less.
Final score, Atlanta 31, New Orleans 13.
Clock is running down the final 20 seconds of the third period here at Texas Stadium. This could be the final play of the quarter. First and 10. Billy to the right side, Steve to the left. Anderson. John Dutton, number 78, makes the tackle after a gain of a yard, and that'll do it.
Well, that play looked like it had some big yardage on it. Dutton kind of looped to the outside. Ed Jones crashed down to the inside and was taken out of the play, but they had Dutton going to the outside, and Dutton made the play.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Cowboys 24, the Cardinals 21. We now pause for a word from your local station.
It's too early. I think St. Louis, if they could some way score, they have a chance. But they just haven't played well since the middle of the second quarter.
Pretty good drive.
Having Gray out of there hurts.
Frank Labor with Roger Staubach. We're at rain-drenched Texas Stadium. Cold, chilly afternoon. Cowboys leading the Cardinals 24-21, but the Cardinals are on the move with a 2nd and 9 at the Dallas 24-yard line. As we said, it's always like this when these two teams play. Tilley to the left side, facing off against Aaron Mitchell. Steve is off to the right. Benny Barnes across the line of scrimmage from him. Hart looking to the far sideline to Steve, who makes the catch at the 19-yard line. Pick up of 4, maybe 5 yards on the play. St. Louis will now have a 3rd and 3 upcoming. Big play?
I'd say it's a critical play. Dallas is counting on the pass. They're sending in their extra people. Which this might be a good time to run in 3rd and 3.
Well, they've been running pretty well here in this drive. They've got Anderson and Theodis Brown in the backfield. But Hart will throw, or wants to, and doesn't get to, as Randy White stops him standing up, number 54.
Well, of course, that's a big trap. It not only stops a potential touchdown drive, but it puts it a much tougher kick for O'Donoghue in the field goal.
This will be his first attempt of the afternoon. He is 4 out of 6 on the year. And this will be a 44-yard attempt. Whitfield, Worley to hold. He has not had an attempt outside of 40 yards this year. It's long enough, but it is wide to the left. No good. And the Cardinals come up dry, getting nothing out of that excellent drive. 13 minutes, 44 seconds left to play in the game. Dallas leading St. Louis by 3.
Needed something on that drive.
Next Saturday, the CBS Sports Spectacular presents the WBA Junior Welterweight Championship from Cincinnati. As undefeated champ Aaron Pryor defends his title against Canadian Gaetan Hart. The NFL cheerleaders battle continues with a wild motocross competition. All of the CBS Sports Spectacular next Saturday afternoon, 4:30 Eastern Time. First and 10 as the Cowboys take over following Neil O'Donoghue's misfire. Dallas has the ball on its 27-yard line, 24-21. Tony Dorsett out to the 36-yard line, a pickup of 8 on the play. You were saying during the timeout that you thought that Cardinals' failure to come up with any points might have been significant.
I think it was significant, Frank. They moved the ball well, but were stymied, and Dallas hasn't been stopped very often on offense, and they're moving the ball right here. So this drive is critical to St. Louis, and of course for Dallas, they're keeping the momentum going right now.
Dorsett now has 95 yards rushing in 17 carries. Second and 1. Newhouse picks up the first down out to the 41-yard line. That's Newhouse, 6th carry of the afternoon for 35 yards. Cowboys by 3. It's never any more than that when Dallas and St. Louis play. Danny White sending Drew Pearson wide to the right side. Tony Hill set inside of him. Dorsett and Newhouse, the running backs.
I think Newhouse, a little hitch in his move right there. They're going to be illegal procedure.
Well, I thought it was Dorsett, but I think I agree with the caller. Illegal procedure, it'll be against Dallas.
Maybe it was Dorsett. One of the backs moved.
Cardinals have their option here of making it 2nd and 10 or 1st and 15.
Illegal motion, number 33, decline, second down.
So it is 2nd and 10 for the Cowboys at their 41-yard line. First of 3 straight home games for the Cowboys next Sunday against the Redskins and on Thanksgiving against the Seattle Seahawks. Dorsett trying to get outside, doesn't make it this time.
Another injury to
Eric Williams, looked like.
He's holding his left leg. He made an excellent play. He got inside the block, and as Dorsett tried to make his move to the outside, of course, Eric Williams is there to stop him.
Loss in the play as they spot it back at the 38-yard line. Dallas now with a 3rd and 13 as Williams comes out of the ball game. Minnesota, last quarter now, leading Tampa Bay 31-23. Vikings who shut out Detroit last week continue to play well. From the shotgun, Danny White in the pocket, still looking. Drew Pearson. Attempt to make a diving catch at the 43-yard line. That also would have been the record-setting catch for Pearson.
Well, White, again, had just all kinds of time back there, and that made the difference. Drew Pearson was coming off of his normal route and just looking for an open area. Once Danny pumped and started looking around, of course, Drew saw him and tried to break back to the outside where there's nobody there and almost made an excellent catch.
So White will have to punt. And he's punted well, averaging better than 47 yards a kick today. Angle toward the far sidelines. Out of bounds at the 37-yard line. As the punt was fielded by Ken Stone, number 23.
That was not a good punt that time, Frank.
His worst of the day. Cardinals will have the football. First down when we come back. Sunday night, everybody's favorite night on CBS. Starts with 60 Minutes, of course, then on Archie Bunker's place. Archie will meet his match when he hires a housekeeper. One day at a time, Alice and the Jeffersons. Very entertaining evening coming up on CBS. Probably just as entertaining as this football game has been this afternoon. First and 10. Cardinals at their 37. They're down by 3. And Hart is back to throwing. Going long. He'll overthrow everybody here. Trying to hit Steve, number 84. I think he just threw that away.
Well, he was going for it all, and of course Steve didn't get a chance to get downfield.
Still a little coaching clinic.
Yeah, here's the defense. Hart had a play action pass here. Watch, I thought I saw Doug Marsh hooking over the middle, but again Dallas is in a type of coverage. Waters is trying to fake the blitz. Aaron Mitchell is man-to-man. Look at Marsh right here. Dennis Thurman's looking at Jim Hart all the way, so he comes off of Marsh, and they end up doubling Steve downfield. But Dennis Thurman was just looking at the quarterback.
Second and 10. Cardinals at their 37. On the delay, Anderson lost the ball and falls on it for a loss of 1 on the play. It'll be 3rd and 11 as that ball getting a little slippery. Again, the rain has eased up somewhat. It's turned into a light, almost freezing drizzle at this point. 11 minutes left to play in the game. Game in San Diego just underway. Kansas City has scored first on the Chargers. Again, a big third down play for the Cardinals. Steve, Tilly, both to the left side off at the bottom of your screen. Hart got the pass away. Steve Wilson, number 45, got his hands on it. It was intended for Tilly. And we get a flag back at the line of scrimmage. Penalty's going to be against the Cardinals, which I'm sure will be refused by the Cowboys to set up the punting situation.
Well, Harvey Martin got around the corner again on George Collins.
71, offense, declined, 4th down.
Joe Bostic of the Cardinals offensive line guilty of the holding.
Harvey was a factor again on forcing Hart to throw that ball a little bit quicker than he wanted to.
Swider to do the punting, standing back on his 20. Cowboys have 10 men at the line of scrimmage. They quickly peel back for the return. Jones, end-over-end kick, fielded at the 30, 35, 40, 45. Jones to the 49-yard line. He and Rod Phillips, number 36, really knocked heads. And there are 2 Cardinals. Shake it up on the play. The other one is Jeff McIntyre, number 50. Timeout with 10 minutes, 27 seconds remaining. And the Cowboys leading 24-21. This might be the collision of the day. James Jones and Rod Phillips.
Well, they butt heads right here. Number 36 is coming in your screen lower left right here and just pops James Jones. Both hit their helmets here. And Rod Phillips got up slowly.
It's like 2 billy goats.
Right. That hurts.
Cowboys with excellent field position. 1st and 10 from their 49-yard line as a result. Drew Pearson in motion across the backfield. Dorsett lost the ball. St. Louis recovers at the 46-yard line. Lee Nelson, number 38.
Well, that ball was pulled out of Tony's hands. He had some daylight, and someone grabbed and pulled the ball out, and Lee Nelson, number 38, is the man responsible for the recovery.
So the Cardinals get another chance here. Still lots of time remaining. St. Louis with a first down at their 46.
See if we can catch this fumble right here. Here's Dorsett. He makes his move inside. It's been a good play all day. Donovan is... It looks like Lee Nelson pulled the ball out and recovered it.
Hart giving to Anderson. Got a couple of yards to the 49. It'll be second down 8.
Yeah, Bruning and Randy White and Harvey Martin were in on that stop.
Second down,
Time, of course, will become a factor soon. We'll keep a close eye on the clock for you. Now under 9 minutes left to play in the game. Wide open first half, 21-17. Cardinals only had one score here in the second half. Drew Pearson's touchdown catch.
Well, this Minnesota team has come back. They're 6-5 now.
Rush is on Hart. Trying to get away. He does. Gets rid of the ball. Tom Landry is hot over on the far side, wanting the intentional grounding call, which the Cowboys do not get.
I'll tell you, the rule now is if he's in the grasp of a tackler and throws the ball away, they'll call it. But if you can throw it where there's no receiver, as long as you've got complete control of yourself, they're not going to call intentional grounding.
And they didn't.
Now, if someone had the grasp of Hart and he just threw it out there, but watch, he scrambles, does a pretty good job. Jim's not really a scrambler, but he's going to have some problems right here. He gets away from this rush, and now he's kind of under control, and he just throws it out of bounds, and that's not a grounding call.
Third down and 7. Hart looking to his right, then back to his left, and Tilly can't hold this one, and we get a flag at the line of scrimmage. Harvey Martin is pointing at Barney Cotton, the offensive lineman, for holding, and that will be the call. But Cowboys will decline that, I'm sure, as well, because we go to fourth down and 7.
Well, Dallas is really controlling that line of scrimmage now. They're pretty well have their own way, and they're pressuring hard.
Holding, number 60, refused. Fourth down.
Cotton it is. Slider in to do the punting. Again, 10 men at the line of scrimmage for the Cowboys. Jones is deep. Nice kick. Jones going to let this one bounce at the 10. Rolls at the 5. Takes a Cardinal hop back to the 6. And dies there. Another flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Roughing the kicker.
Roughing the kicker against Dallas would give the Cardinals an automatic first down around midfield. Slider was roughed on the play, so bring it back and give the ball back to the Cardinal offense. Solomon, Cowboy rookie defensive back, who I'm sure is trying to hide on that Cowboy bench right now. He would like to be invisible.
Well, he's staying away from Mike Ditka anyway.
That moves the ball into Dallas territory. First down at the Cowboy 46. Anderson. At the line of scrimmage, Dede Lewis, number 50. Submarine the play for no gain.
Football's an amazing game, Frank. This defense now is playing with a lot of emotion. They're controlling that line of scrimmage, not only in the pass, but against the run also. That's made a difference in the second half.
That rush, by the way, a pickup of 1 yard on the play gives Anderson his 100th yard. The only man ever to rush for 100 against the Cowboys on 3 occasions. Second and 9 from the 45. Hart flushed out of the pocket. Intercepted by Bob Bruning at the 30. Bruning is up to the 35, returns to the 38. First interception of the day against Hart. Showing awful good hands for a linebacker. That was not an easy interception.
No, that was an excellent interception. Bruning made his second interception of the year, but he gets a deep drop back there. Look at him. He's back there helping. There's the pass. There's the ball is thrown, is going into Steve, and of course Aaron Mitchell, 34, is back there, but Bruning got a deep drop and made the interception.
Timeout. 8 minutes and 33 seconds left to play. Well, a brief official timeout, which is now over. 1st and 10. Cowboys ball at their 37. Danny White gonna go long for Tony Hill. Worley's out there. Hill and Worley going one-on-one, and Worley winning this battle as he got his hand in there. Good defensive play because Hill had a step on him.
Worley's a cagey defensive back. They were even, and all of a sudden Hill had a step and a half on him, but Worley closed the gap and got his hand out in front. He timed that just right.
An interception by Bob Brunig, his second of the year. And a big turnover for the Cowboys, who lead the NFL in turnovers. At 33 on the year coming into the game. 2nd and 10. Dorsett across the 40 out to the 43-yard line for about 5. And that should put Dorsett over 100 yards rushing on the afternoon. Both Anderson and Dorsett have eclipsed the century mark. Third down, Dallas looking at 5. I'll call it 6 for the first down as they spot the ball at the 42-yard line of the Cowboys. Under 8 minutes left to play. Drew Pearson wide to the left side, puts Johnson in the slot inside of him. As the Cowboys go to their shotgun, they have a triple wing to the left. White. Preston Pearson for the first down at the St. Louis 45. Second big catch he's made today.
Danny White put that one right on the money. Preston Pearson ran a sideline. And what you have to be careful of is what the cornerback is doing out there. And of course, he was running deep with the wide receiver, so it was Preston man-to-man on Favron, and White put it right out in front, picked out the right receiver, and perfect pass. Nice catch.
There are just so many receivers out there in that shotgun out there.
There are. Dallas has been down in third downs the last 3 weeks. They were leading the league. They're down to 49%, but today they've done a good job in third downs.
First down at the Cardinal 45. Dorsett taking the pitch, cutting back inside, and reaches the 39 for a pickup of 7. It'll be 2nd and 3. Cowboys will be content here to continue moving the ball and letting that clock run down. It's moving with 6 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Nose of the ball just inside the St. Louis Cardinal 40-yard line. Dallas leading 24-21. Having won the first game by 3 up in St. Louis. Second and 4. White. Sideline throw almost picked off by Carl Allen, number 27. And Allen had nothing but 65 yards of artificial turf in front of him.
That's good anticipation by Allen that time. It was just a 7-yard sideline pass, a short drop by White. What a defensive back does is sometimes looks at the quarterback's short drop, and then he moved on the ball immediately and almost got that football. Knocked it down.
That stops the clock with 6 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. Dorsett has now rushed for 105 yards in 21 carries, averaging 5 yards a carry. Cowboys shifted into the shotgun on 3rd and 5. White with good protection goes over the middle, completes it to Tony Hill at the 23. First down. That'll be Hill's 7th reception of the afternoon.
Well, White drilled that ball in there. Carl Allen was on him, but he just fired it in there, and of course Hill was in good position and had his body in front of Allen and made the catch. Watch, he just drills it right there. He fires it into the body of Tony Hill. Actually, Allen is out in front of him. White brings him back and threw it to the right spot.
1st and 10.
Tony Hill made a good adjustment by not coming over the middle when he saw Allen in front of him.
Cowboys have reached the St. Louis 23. Dorsett trying to get outside, does so to the 20, and reaches the 17-yard line. He's dropped at that point.
Dorsett, the ball carrier.
Clock rolling down to the 5-minute mark now. 5 minutes left to play.
Second down, 5.
Tampa Bay and Minnesota, that's still going on. No, is it final now? 38-30 Minnesota. I don't believe that's final yet. Our score 24-21. Cowboys leading the Cardinals. Second down. 3 for the first down. Dallas at the St. Louis 17. Robert Newhouse fights his way down to the 10-yard line. Another Dallas first down. This drive accomplishing 2 things. It's running the clock down, and of course it's proceeding to what could very well be an insurance touchdown in this game, with Dallas holding a 3-point lead right now. 4 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the game. The clock continues to roll. First down at the St. Louis 11. Drew Pearson left side, Tony Hill right. Dorsett, 10, 5, touchdown. Dorsett putting 2 excellent football games back to back. 183 yards on the ground against the Giants last week. And he's at the 125-yard mark against the Cardinals this afternoon, 30-21, with the extra point try to come.
As I said, Frank, they're controlling the line of scrimmage, offense and defense. Excellent blocking there, and you give Tony any daylight, he'll scoot in there. He's got the speed, and once he scooted through that daylight, he outran Roger Worley and everybody else to the corner of that end zone.
Septien with the extra point try is good. A very impressive.
Here's the play. Here you got Newhouse leading. Newhouse gets a good block, blocks to the outside. Dorsett comes inside, and then he outruns Worley right here to the court of the end zone.
Cowboys 31, Cardinals 21. Back in a minute. Septien ready to kick off. 3 minutes, 52 seconds left to play in the game. Cardinals got to be wondering what's happened to their second half momentum. They sagged in the second half last week, and again today. Roy Green back to the 15, 20, breaks outside, 25, across the 30. Green finally run out of bounds at the 41-yard line.
Yellow flag down there again.
Penalty marker down, back at the 20.
Steve does not like it. Must be on him. Number 84.
If that's the case, it'll saddle the Cardinals with very poor field position back somewhere around their 10-yard line as we get a preliminary indication of a clip. Cardinals ahead 24-6. Last week at halftime fell. This time they ran out to a 14-0 lead. We're ahead 21-17 at halftime and haven't scored here in the second half.
Personal foul, clipping, number 84 on the run back.
Dave Stieff guilty of the foul. It'll be a 1st and 10 for St. Louis back at the 10-yard line. Tilly wide to the right side. Stieff split to the left. Again, the Cardinals have been minus Mel Gray for better than 3 quarters, and it's hurt them. Pass intended for Anderson is incomplete. Let's go to Brent Musburger at the NFL Today control room in New York.
Frank, the Cowboys must win to stay within 2 games of the Philadelphia Eagles, who mauled the Washington Redskins today. Watch their sophomore linebacker, Jerry Robinson of UCLA, scoop up the loose ball and dash back 59 yards for a touchdown. The Eagles still lead the NFL, having only surrendered 135 points, and they win it today 24-0. Now let's send you back to Frank Labor.
Again, the swing pass out to Otis Anderson, who's run out of bounds at 8-yard line. So not much there for the Cardinals. Third down coming up. Jerry Robinson can run with the football. He looked like a receiver, which he was his early days in college for the Eagles.
He was #1 draft choice last year, and he's an excellent linebacker. The Eagles are moving right along. That was their first win in Washington. Here we have a replay of that last play. It was just a toss out to the side, hoping to get Otis some running room, but D.D. Lewis is right there, makes a good play, pushes him out of bounds.
Third down, loss in the play of a yard. It's 3rd and 11. Thrown in front of Tilley as Harvey Martin came up with a big rush and certainly distracted Hart, even though he didn't get to him.
Well, Harvey got off the ball that time like a shot. Almost offsides, but he timed it just right and got in there, and he's had that outside rush all day, and he's come close to a couple other traps.
Standing ovation for the Cowboy defensive unit as they leave the field. They played some second half.
They've been awesome the second half.
Very shaky, particularly in the first quarter, and the Cardinals kept hitting the big play. Swider is 7 yards deep in the end zone.
Oh, he booms it out of there, Frank.
James Jones back at the Dallas 40, 45. Jones at midfield. And just into St. Louis territory at the 49-yard line. Tackle made by Charles Baker, number 52.
Stopped at the Cardinals 49-yard line. First down 10 for the Cowboys.
Dallas 1st and 10. As Brent Musburger mentioned, Cowboys need the victory here to stay 2 within Philadelphia. They've got the Eagles one more time. That'll be on the last day of the season here at Texas Stadium, so they have to have help from someone. Leading by 10, they give it to Dorsett. Slipped as he tried to make his cut at the St. Louis 45-yard line. They pick up a 4 on the play. 2nd down 6. That gives Dorsett 126 yards this afternoon.
Well, that I formation's been awesome for Dallas today. Either the pitch out or the roll back to the inside by Dorsett. He's getting good blocking by Newhouse, good blocking by the line, and he's probably averaging them from that I formation, the handoff alone 5 or 6 yards, and from the toss play also he's probably averaging 5 or 6 yards.
Lee Nelson was shaken up on that last play for the Cardinals. He's been removed from the game. 2nd and 6. Newhouse. Got a yard. That's about it to the 43-yard line. 2 minutes and 20 seconds now. And the clock, unless the Cardinals call a timeout, will run down to the 2-minute warning prior to the next play.
You know, one thing that Tom Landry mentioned a few weeks ago, Dallas has been having trouble with the running game, a lot of trouble. Dorsett was under 4 yards a carry, and he mentioned, well, we've got a lot of running plays, but let's just throw the ones out that aren't working. They have a quality control division on their team, and they look at the plays that are successful, the ones that aren't. And 2 weeks ago, he said, we're just going to throw a lot of plays out that haven't been successful, stick with our solid plays, and today there are probably 4 or 5 different plays that have been successful for him. It's been simplified, and it's probably paid off. Last week, Dorsett had 183 yards. He's running well today also.
In other words, the Cowboys scout themselves as well as the opposition.
Oh, they sure do. They look at all things, passing, running, and decide what's best.
Now, let me give you another final score. The New York Giants beat Green Bay 27-21. Here was the hot combination. Phil Simms to Ernest Gray. Gray caught 6 passes for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns. 27-21 the final. Back now to Frank Lieber in Dallas. Frank?
Brett, you recall that Gray caught a touchdown last week against the Cowboys.
He had a big day last week. You know, one thing besides the Dallas defense that is really positive, Danny White had a rough week last week as the Dallas team lost a close one in New York, but this guy's got a lot of character, number 11, and the character shows by bouncing back after a tough game or even a tough play to come back with a big play, and he's got those qualities, and they're showing today with 3 touchdown passes.
3rd down 4 for the Cowboys at the St. Louis 44-yard line. White looking for the first down. That's Drew Pearson. That's the record-setting catch as he goes out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So Drew Pearson has just set a Cowboy all-time receiving record. is the #1 receiver in Dallas Cowboy history. That is his 366th catch, and he gets a standing ovation.
No, he should. And he's also eclipsed the record of a great receiver. Bob Hayes, through the years, really changed the defenses from man-to-man, the zone. Bob had the speed. No one could take him man-to-man. Made a lot of big plays, a lot of big touchdowns, but this man, number 88, has stepped in there, and with his consistency since 1973, just broke Bob's record, and it's quite a record to break.
That's 20 completions now for Danny White in 36 throws for 296 yards. Newhouse fights his way to the 26-yard line, so Danny White is right at the 300-yard mark in the passing department. Timeout called by St. Louis, their first of 3 with 1:46. There's Drew accepting congratulations from his teammates. They didn't have that handshake when you played, did they? The high five, they call it?
No, they didn't.
They had every other one, though.
I like to see those handshakes when you're in a football game at the end of the game because that's a positive sign. But this number 88 is something special. As an impartial observer here on the CBS game, I don't like to get into the personalities of guys I've played with, but that's one guy that I feel proud of being part of those catches.
Second down, 7. Dallas at the 27-yard line of the St. Louis Cardinals, leading 31-21. And simply trying to run the clock down here. Dorsett dragged down on the far sidelines. Cardinals did not get him out of bounds. So the clock will continue to roll. Well, it's been quite a football game. A lot of people involved, and showing it to you this afternoon, our executive producer, Charles H. Milton III. Our ever-present producer, Mr. Bob Rowe. And our director and the pride of Centralia, Illinois, Andy Kindle. And a lot of the fine folks here in Dallas who also work with us on these Cowboy home games.
You know, the NFC East is an interesting division. At the beginning of the year, it looked like a 4-team race. St. Louis, Washington, Dallas, Philadelphia, and New York still trying to build. But it's come down strictly to a 2-team race, and one of the best races in football, and 2 of the best teams in football between Dallas and Philadelphia. St. Louis, though, have really had their tough games this year. They've been in so many games. They've been very competitive, but they just have not had the winning edge when it counted. I think Jim Hanifin, though, has led an air to this team that it's going to be successful in the future, and a few plays here and there, they could have been successful this year. Washington seems to be out of it. The last 3 weeks, Washington has really been somewhat of a problem team, Frank. They've given up a lot of points. We see Tony Dorsett get stopped here. But they've given up big plays to Minnesota, Chicago, and now to Philadelphia today. The only thing they can do is being a spoiler, as is St. Louis. St. Louis goes to Philadelphia. Washington comes to Dallas. But they're out of it for all practical purposes other than determining who's going to win the division.
4th down situation. Cowboys need 9 for the first down from the 30. Clock is still moving with 1:05 to go. As the old saying goes, if the Cardinals didn't have bad luck, they wouldn't have had any at all this year.
Well, they've had injuries. They've had some tough luck also. But you make your own luck a lot of times. And
Newhouse on the 4th and 9. So Dallas will turn over the football at the 25-yard line with 45 seconds left to play and leading by 10. And having in their pocket, apparently, their 6th consecutive victory over the St. Louis Cardinals. And their 8th in their last 9 outings between the 2 clubs. Again, an interesting ball game. This will be the widest margin of victory, I'm sure, in some time between these 2 teams, 10 points. And it was a 3-point game until, of course, the Cowboys scored that consolation touchdown by Dorsett after a long drive. St. Louis led at halftime, 21-17. Couldn't hold on. Hart over the middle. Charlie Waters trying to bat it away from Tilly and being successful.
How many passes has Pat Tilly caught today, Frank?
6-0. Bears leading Houston in the second period. That's somewhat of a surprise. Meeting of the 2 great runners, Walter Payton and Earl Campbell. Answer your question here in a minute. Tilley's caught 3 for 75, and I think they were all in the first half.
He has. He's the only receiver now in football this year that's caught at least 3 passes in every game.
He's kept that streak going. Personal foul against Harvey Martin of the Cowboys. Moves it off to the 40-yard line.
You know, the average score in the last 5 games between these teams has been 23-18. So there's been about a 5-point differential, and no score has been greater than 9 points until today.
Thurman, number 32, tried to one-hand it. That would have been some interception. Speaking of Thurman, the guy whose place he took in preseason, Randy Hughes, will come back in the active roster next week, which will present the Cowboys with an interesting dilemma. Well, I'm sure Randy will have to work his way back in shape.
The man's place he took in period was Cliff Harris at free safety, who's been one of the truly great free safeties of all time, number 43. And of course, Dennis is filled in. He leads the NFC in interceptions. He's got 5 this year.
Not bad for a guy who started the preseason as a second-string defensive back. Hart again under heavy pressure. Pass is incomplete. Benny Barnes out there defending against Doug Marsh, number 87, the rookie tight end. 30 seconds left to play in the game. 3rd down and 10. Cowboys will be 8-3, still 2 games behind the Eagles, and the Cardinals will go to 3-8.
Well, it's been all Dallas in the second half.
In case you joined us late, the Cardinals jumped out to a 14-0 lead on a touchdown run by Anderson and a long pass to Mel Gray. Hart with the sideline throw. And Thurman timing his move just perfectly, stepping in front of Tilley to break it up. O.J. Anderson becomes the first back ever to gain 100 yards against the Cowboys 3 times in his career. He rushed for an even 100 this afternoon in 17 carries. Dorsett will wind up with 122 yards in 26 carries, his 3rd 100-yard game of the year, and his 2nd in as many weeks.
You know, that 100-yard record by Anderson is significant. That goes all the way back to Jimmy Brown. Jimmy Brown never even did that against Dallas.
4th down. Last hope here for the Cardinals. 23 seconds. Hart sacked. Torn down by Too Tall Jones, number 72. Not a way you want to finish off your afternoon.
Deerdorf's done a good job all day. Ed Jones, of course, beats him on this play. Goes to the outside, comes to the inside, and that's a sack for Big Ed. Big Ed's been the difference this year for Dallas. He's knocked the passes down. He's had some traps, and he does a good job against the run also.
You'd love to have him on your defense last year, wouldn't you?
Oh, boy.
Would have made a little difference. Cowboys need only to run 1 play here and run out the clock because the Cardinals are out of timeouts. And that will be the football game.
This is your favorite play right here when you're on a winning team. The old quarterback flop.
That'll do it. So for the 2nd time this year, the Dallas Cowboys defeat the St. Louis Cardinals coming from behind to win it. 31-21, Drew Pearson setting a new Cowboy record for career receiver. Big victories for the Cowboys. That's it from Dallas. For Roger Staubach, this is Frank Lieber saying so long from Texas Stadium. The NFL on CBS is a presentation of CBS Sports.